I'm just
gonna keep offering.
What else you got in your back pocket?
Else.
You just start pulling shit out. You want some gummy worms?
I got some peanut M&Ms. You want some of those?
He's a student of mine.
Man, you got a lot of your students are like
It's
really
alive.
You put that shit on a whiteboard before you start class. You're like, by the way, tonight. I think it's soliciting.
We're live. We're live.
Dude, do your students watch?
I don't know.
Excuse me.
We're out of.
Excuse me.
I had a dream about a whiteboard.
We're not in.
That would like draw and like.
That's not a focus issue. That's a stream issue. It'll straighten out. That's Facebook, not us. In fact, are you live right here? Are we live here?
I am.
Let's take a look at how your phone looks.
Oh Jesus.
My God.
Son of a bee.
Hello.
It's getting better. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Awesome Talk Season 12, Episode 3 on November 12th, 2019. Tonight we have a very nice and great and wonderful show for you. Rob March, just got here. And, you know...
I got the lighting on your milky white skin to be perfect and non-glowing.
Right, like I look milky but not glowing. And that's a good thing.
There's no, you're not ghosted.
Pasty, that's what we talked about last time.
Milky and
pasty.
flush.
Thank you. Is that good?
It's like a glass of milk with
Like, do I have
grenadine in it.
rosy cheeks?
Yeah, like grenadine splashed in a milk glass.
Like you came from polluted
Have you
jeep.
Like leftover cookie crumbs in the milk.
You guys sound like you're
How
making...
many times in your life have you been told you look like grenadine splashed in a milk glass?
I think that's a fucking
times.
compliment.
Can people
You're
hear
welcome.
us? I need to know if people can hear us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're like a
Somebody
glass of
say
Bailey's
something. Okay, I can hear it. Obviously, people can hear us. Okay,
People
good.
are saying LMFAO, so they must be laughing at something.
Yeah, it's Milky McMilkstein over here.
Where in the hell are my glasses? Oh, here they are.
No one needs to know.
So, let me just say hi to everyone in the chat before we get started. Scott is there. I see Brandy in the chat. I see Anna in the chat. I see Rob. I see you there.
I see a bunch of
I see
people
Amy
sitting at
there.
the table that are in the chat.
I see my mother is there.
I say,
Anna's there.
let her stay up and watch.
I say let her stay up and watch. That's what I say. Look, tonight we have a really great show for you. And our special guest this evening is poet and hip-hop artist Chris Rockwell is in the house. So no one here for Chris Rockwell being here tonight.
Oh, shit.
Hi.
I forgot about the cameras for a second.
That's okay.
Madison
That's all
called
right.
you a minion.
Yeah. I'm a minion. Why, because of yellow?
Yeah.
I'm a minion?
Real nice.
I bet the glasses, I wish I had goggles like they wear, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
I'd look really minion-y. Yeah. So anyway, it's
Like
going to be a
mustard,
great show
grenadine,
tonight.
and a glass of milk.
And gotta have so many fucking uncomfortable things to talk about with everybody this evening. It's going to be so great.
Here's the thing. Before we even talk about
Oh,
anything
Jesus.
else.
Uh-oh.
If you heard the term goodie bag, and
Yeah.
it was referring to a sexual favor of some kind,
There's no
Right.
what would you imagine that goodie bag meant? Probably ball related, right?
Yeah, balls wrapped
There's
around
no
the penis, and then you let go of the
That's a
balls, and the
goodie
penis
bag?
pops back out, and you're like, look at this bag of goods. Like you let go of the bag. and-
That's a goodie bag. Well, if you
See,
were like,
I would think it was like
went home.
stuffing like candy and treats like into a vagina.
Interesting.
Oh.
Well,
Now
see,
we've
because-
switched over.
Yeah,
Well,
but
if
what if
someone
she
said
gave you a goodie bag?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Right,
if someone
right.
was
I need
like,
context.
she
Yeah,
gave,
sure.
she was
So,
like,
yeah,
she
she-
gave me a goodie bag.
Yeah.
I left
Yeah.
her with it. She
Yeah.
gave me a goodie bag.
She
before
gave
I
me a goodie
left.
bag.
Yeah,
Wait,
before I left.
did someone say that to you?
Someone said it to me. Yes.
Okay, so then
And
what
it
I
was a
said could
guy.
still work.
True.
It could still work.
True.
But what kind of stuff do you jam inside a vagina to turn it into a goodie
Goodies.
bag?
Like,
Just
yeah.
could
A
it be, like,
kazoo,
was it like
Smarties.
a consolation prize? Like
Payday.
Sure, a payday.
Where does the
Charleston
kazoo
chew.
go?
Yes.
Where
good
does the
one.
kazoo? Where's the
Wherever
kazoo
it
go?
Goes in the goodie
Wherever
bag.
it
But who's
goes.
providing the goodie bag?
You get prepared for that at the dollar store ahead of time.
Yeah, I don't know.
You just keep it with you at all times in case something comes up.
One of those little
Yeah, but
champagne bottle things that
one
you
of the
pop
partners
and then
has
the
to
confetti
de-pants and
comes
offer
up.
the goodie bag. No, like.
Okay, all right.
I like the way he says it. He's like, the goodie bag.
Yeah.
It makes it sound a lot
The goodie bag,
cleaner.
yeah.
Than
Like
what
when
it
someone
really
puts the
is.
emphasis on T in TV, like TV.
Oh.
TV.
Like an old person
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
Yeah,
TV.
right. I'm watching TV. You're
Yeah.
watching what?
The goodie bag.
The telly.
Yeah.
I am watching the telly. If you will.
I want to
And I
know
will now
what the
visit
chat would
WCC.
assume
Let-
a
well,
goodie
yeah.
bag meant in relation to
Hey guys, I look
sexual-
like a minion because of the yellow. Let's see. I'm watching. I can't see all of this. I want to make the screen bigger, but every time I do that, I fuck up everything.
Outrageous.
Oh, that's a good one.
Outrageous.
That's
Did we-
a good one, guys.
Did we figure out what the goodie bag was?
It was a bag of treats.
Bacon wrapped
But
balls.
not sexually related, or just.
Well, see, that's
No,
the thing.
I just assumed that because
If you say,
Wait,
I
wait, wait,
love-
wait, hold on.
Wait a
I need
minute.
clarity on this. Are we talking about an actual goodie bag, or did somebody
Yeah.
actually present you the terminology in a
Well,
sexual way, or did you just corruptly
someone
do that?
said
like the angry dolphin or something.
Yeah.
that she gave me a goodie bag before I left. I said it sounds like a weird sex term. What would that mean? And then I posed the question to my peers.
You know what? You baited us.
Yeah.
So it's not actually,
Yes,
it's
it
not
is.
actually a sexual term.
Gaslighting would be if I said no, I didn't.
So her question is though, if someone said, "Yo, she gave me a goodie bag," and you don't want to look stupid and ask
the
what
old
that
goodie
is,
bag.
what do you think that? Yeah, you just go, "Ah, the old goodie bag,"
Yeah, you know?
and then you're like, "What the fuck's a goodie bag?"
Just
You know?
play it off.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you bait somebody into being completely fucking stupid.
I wasn't beating anyone. I just thought that we could make up a good term here. You know?
We didn't make up anything. You said it existed, and we all got perplexed over what it
No,
meant.
she
No,
said
I
if
said,
you
what
heard
would
it,
you- yeah, what
what
would you
would you assume it meant?
Okay, so
Yeah.
what you're saying is
But
there's
you
no...
added the sexual part.
Yes,
Right,
that
right,
didn't
of course.
exist.
So there's absolutely no definitive answer to this.
Thank you.
We're making it up.
I'm bothered.
Yeah.
I'm very bothered.
We're working together to come up with a definition.
Brainstorming.
Very
Yeah,
fucking...
it's a
Exactly.
brainstorm.
It is
I
I
a
didn't know that's what I was
brainstorming
doing
session.
just now.
No, I'm bothered.
Guys, sometimes you can brainstorm and not even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
No, that's not how brainstorming works.
I'd say that was a pretty stormy brain work there.
If you're brainstorming and you don't know it, isn't that schizophrenia?
Yeah, well,
Like you're talking to yourself, but it's not you.
I feel like brainstorming is consensual. Inherently consensual. It has to be consensual. I think it's consensual.
Unless it's schizophrenia
yeah, right. And then what? You brainstorm with yourself?
against your own will.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
that's. I feel like that's still consent. It's
I think
yourself.
you can
If
think
you-
to yourself without being schizophrenic, though.
Say again.
You can think to yourself without being schizophrenic.
Can you think against your own will without consent to
You can,
yourself?
you can
Yes.
do both sides. Yeah. You
All
can
right.
debate
Okay.
yourself.
All right. So goodie
Really
bag
split the
on
voices
Urban
up.
Dictionary.
Yeah, you know,
Urban Dictionary's got it
Urban
down.
Dictionary.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You
thank
have
you,
to,
Scott. Thank you, Scott, for this
click
one.
on new
A
comment.
coin purse-like sack that is affixed around the penis and testicles by a drawstring. The warmth and softness offer functionality, comfort, and style. Most
I was
commonly
close with the bacon
fabricated
wrap.
by the softest materials known to man, toddler scalps. What the hell?
Toddler
Did you
scale.
make
Wow.
this entry
Disturbing
like
shit.
just
I feel like
In
he
the
wrote
parking
this.
lot?
In a
Yeah.
sentence.
Why do they gotta
In a
bring a
sentence.
toddler scale?
Man, this goodie bag is more comfortable than dipping my balls in a room temperature pudding while watching a nature show.
Excuse me, excuse me.
I feel like
Don't-
he
don't
was
turn this
late
off.
because he was sitting in his car in the parking lot writing this shit in and he
Yeah, right, right, right. No,
No, you're like
something- you were what Leo
thankful.
saying outside the window or something. Listen, I have.
You know
I
it
wrote
would
a
come up one
definition.
day.
I wrote a definition for a word in Urban Dictionary. You want to look it
Oh
up?
no,
It's called aplop.
No! Not
A-P-L-O-P.
this again.
Aplop. It will come up.
I forget what it is. I
Oh,
That's the one.
Stop
It's
being
on right there.
ridiculous.
That's
One
it.
A
percent.
hip hop
Sounds-
All right,
condensed.
no, not hip hop.
It sounds like I don't
Oh, a
want to know.
hip condensed version of the full word apoplectic, which means to be overcome with anger. After I watched Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, I was totally aplop. My mom's burning of the meatloaf made me aplop as hell. Why do you have a handle on this?
Okay.
Why is there a handle?
It's a long
He
story.
made it up on our other show.
2015.
And let
Yeah,
it go.
yeah.
How did
Wait,
that
wait,
come
wait.
about?
Can you go back to that? Because I need to know. Did you go to the trouble of putting a
Yes, he
pronunciation?
did.
Like,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Let me see the
He
pronunciation.
Aplop sounds like two words.
I'm
though.
hearing you say it, but if I want to know
A-plot.
if I read it, would I
Right.
get
Would
it?
you get it? Right.
Let me
there you
take a
go.
look.
Yes.
That's no. There's no pronunciation.
There's no
there's not.
phonetics?
Oh, no, there's not.
See, I would look at this and
Because
say
I would assume you'd just get it right.
no.
No, I mean,
wordsmith.
would you think a plop?
Plop.
It was a hyphen.
Or two different
Oh,
words.
like for Klimt.
Yeah,
Like,
I was a plop after my mother burnt the shit out of that meatloaf. I was a plop
Mother, I'm a plop. You've burnt.
because
You know what it is? You know what's wrong with that? It doesn't
Wow.
sound serious. I can't take it seriously.
You took that
Never.
seriously.
Seriously, dude, for like a straight 2 years, I had to deal with a plot.
Yeah.
That is not appropriate.
It is a plume.
So
very
Anna
appropriate.
says, "What the fuck?" Look up Urban Dictionary. Teabag has to do with balls, so maybe. You guys are sick. LOL. Goodie bags. Let's see.
goodie bags.
Sarah, let's talk about Disney Plus. Anyone seen episode 1 of The Mandalorian? We have, but I'm worried not enough people
No,
have.
no,
I
you
haven't.
can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
we're
So
not
we
doing
can't,
that.
we can't talk about it yet because it just dropped this morning. Let's see. With that, I need a. What's he say? I can't see past the
beer.
birch tree. He needs a
is what
fucking
he
beer.
said.
Get one, bro.
Yeah.
Get one, dude. So, well, that was a great opening. That was just a great opening. Listen, why don't we do a classic around the bar while we're at it? Okay, that's where we introduce ourselves and then we say something about ourselves.
Why don't we introduce each other?
All right, who wants to
No,
introduce
we
me?
don't really have to do either.
Okay,
Oh, this is gonna get fucking confusing.
we'll just do it real quick. Hi, I'm Rick. I'm your host.
I'm Rob. I'm also on the show.
Good work.
Pat, I am not your host. But I'm
Chris, first time here.
Stones.
Last
Black
time
eye.
here.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I just noticed.
Dude,
I
it's-
think I was just so used to seeing like
Bags.
bags.
Oh shit, you do have a bag guy.
Yeah.
The hood was covering up with the
Oh,
shadow.
Okay, so I was introduced to him via text, and she said, "You'll meet him. He looks weird."
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so just come
So-
to meet you.
yeah.
He's a
So
weird looking
I
dude.
just took this
Yeah.
That's
completely
totally
as the way he looks.
Yeah,
Didn't
he
judge at
was
all.
born
Right,
with
right,
a
right.
bad head and a
But it just
black
looked like
eye.
If it's a
that.
tell, none of us noticed.
looks like
So none of us noticed the black eye, so that's a tell, right?
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, oh, that's just.
Oh, that's just how he looks.
Yeah.
All right.
It
Yeah.
comes in his face, it's half rotted off.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, oh, it's just stones.
Like, la la. It's all
If someone
He
can
does. He
introduce
does come
you
to
and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he looks weird," what am I supposed to think?
I said he has
Whatever
a
it is,
confused
I'm like, I
look
guess
on his
I'm
it's-
sure
face.
you were
You'll know
expecting
when
way
you see
worse
it.
than whatever.
It would have been really, really off if he looked like me. I'd be like,
If you like walked
Well,
up to
that
it,
is
"I
it's
guess
weird.
I look weird."
That is
like,
weird.
what the fuck?
What the hell?
Well,
Yeah.
Everyone has an existential crisis.
Yeah, dude, like that. We're like,
If this is what Stones look
Do
like,
I look weird?
Yeah.
what the fuck do I look
what? What am I?
Go ahead. You haven't introduced yourself.
like? Go ahead,
Oh, sorry, yeah.
you
Well, I don't.
person.
Well, if I say her name, then I'm cutting her off. And
Go
I don't
ahead.
want to
I
do
don't
that.
care. Cut me off.
Person
Fine.
whose name we don't know yet.
Yeah.
That's Sarah.
Yeah. Nice work.
Thanks.
All right. So, okay. So let's talk about some topics. So I wanted to start off tonight with something that I feel like this is a good group to talk about it with, because I want to know if this is an overreaction by society, which
Yes.
most things are,
Yes.
or is there a reason for people to react the way they are? So somebody from some TV show, it doesn't really matter what the TV show is, went to a wedding recently, right? And they went into
already
like the
hate this.
photo booth
Wow.
and they were taking pictures with their, dates and their spouses and shit like that, right? And in
Dates
one of the
and
pictures,
Were they in
the
Seaside
men
Heights or
were
something?
behind the women, and two of the husbands reached up and grabbed their wife's tits like this, and they were all laughing and screaming, and they took pictures and they posted them online. And they said, "This was a great wedding. We had a lot of fun. Here's us."
And there's a giant outcry.
What about
There's a
it?
giant outcry because what people are saying is that you should not be posting pictures like this because of the way things are right now in lieu of the Me Too movement and things like that. You should not be posting things where a man is grabbing a woman and objectifying her in that way. So obviously the opposite argument to that is, yeah, but this isn't like a non-consensual thing. These are husbands and wives and people who are having fun and know each other.
Right.
Why don't you know the difference?
Right.
So my question is when something is pushed into the public zeitgeist like that, does it become the public's property or the public's place to make those determinations? Because now it's part of a conversation. It's part of a narrative at this point. So are people right or wrong, which I guess is a pedestrian way of putting it, but are they right or wrong to be outraged about this kind of thing?
Well, let's be clear. People drive around and get cut off and get pissed off about it. Like
That's true.
It's completely inconsequential in their life.
Right.
People will get pissed off about anything.
That's true. That's true.
So you really can't like stop that from happening.
Right.
I feel like it's a wash.
I think that people's lives at this point in time are so limited to the screen and to clickbait and nonsense like that because there's things like social media and the access to everybody else's lives and everybody sharing everything, whether it be fun to them or not.
Yeah.
I feel like you have an entitlement
Everyone's
to
got a
it.
fucking opinion. That's
You
what
feel
makes
like you have
everything in this world so crazy now, is that shit no one talked about 20 years ago is now public domain for anyone
well,
to
you know what
fucking
it is.
spit on.
Right.
They were talking about it 20 years ago, but we didn't know everyone was talking about
No,
it.
they're
They were
talking
about
shit
it-
behind your back.
They
Now
were
they'll
talking
put
about it
it
in their
right.
living rooms, and the people who were in the living room heard
I
it.
mean,
That was it.
that's like
Like,
saying, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, the amount of people that were talking about it were so fucking few and far between.
It's the way people
Maybe.
talked about it were different, man. It wasn't. Not everything you said or did was public.
It's fine to have an opinion, but once you start imposing your will on other people, like you can't do this because of something, it's like, well, now what? It's like
In other
you're,
words,
you're like the minority in this
like,
situation. You're like one person.
I wouldn't
out of
bring it
how
up-
many that feels this way.
I wouldn't bring it up if it was like one person that was complaining, but it was like, two waves of people arguing with each other online about this, about whether or not it was appropriate to post that in lieu of what is currently going on socially.
I think it's a terrible comparison.
What is going on
It
socially?
isn't. It isn't.
I think,
Well,
yeah,
I
it's
think
a
there's
weird
been
comparison.
artwork carved into
Like,
the
what
rocks
am I
that
missing here?
depicts
So,
guys
hold on.
grabbing
So-
girls' tits.
So what I'm saying is,
You know, like-
is we're living in an age now where men, traditionally men, are kind of now paying for all the shit that they have fucking done. A lot of them rightfully so,
That's part of
which
it.
I totally fucking understand that. But my problem is the same problem that I have with people who are really bitter and pissed off about comedy and stand-up comedians. You have to be able to decipher the difference between nuance, between intention, between
Context.
what's satire, all those things that are really going on. So what we have here is we don't have a picture that somebody snapped where a guy assaulted a woman. We have a husband and a wife who
Yeah,
think that this
right.
is
Taking it at
funny and
face
they're
value.
together. So I feel like the
Yeah.
public should be expected to know the difference between that and an assault.
I have an explanation
Sure.
I think might offer some. All right, so a few years back, I had someone who in my life who had recently become sober from alcoholism, and they were going to their meetings and they were going to church a lot and they were born again, which a lot of times happens when someone goes sober. They buy into like being born again. And
Sure.
That person was telling every single person we met about Jesus.
Right.
Okay. Now, the reason for that is because it was a transitional period for them. And to teach is to learn twice. In their own learning and pursuits, telling everyone they knew about that, not only was it just exciting and new for them, but they wanted to kind of hammer it home for themselves. A lot of times you want validity and from someone else when you tell someone that and they go, oh, I agree with you. You're like, oh, thank God. Now I can anchor into my beliefs. We're in a transitional period right now where people are going to just, it's the same thing as that my friend talking about Jesus all the time. They're going to say, me too, this, me too, that, me too, that. And I'm sure, most of the time, it's probably going to be valid for what you said. Men have been doing fuck shit for whoever knows how long.
Sure.
Right.
Okay. But we're transitioning. We don't have the hang of it yet, I don't think.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think everyone needs to have compassion for each other and be patient with each other. For something like
Yeah.
that, it's up to those people to define consent on their own terms. Yes, there are blanket terms of and rules for consent that everyone can abide by all the time. But within some couples, it's different, and they have to go by what's comfortable for them and what's safe for them.
Sure.
And we're not all entitled to speak on it.
I just wish that the public would do a better job at deciphering these
yeah.
things.
But you're not
But
going to
listen
see
now,
that. But
the
you're not
thing-
going to see
Right,
that.
no,
You're
Yeah,
not
but here's the
gonna-
thing. Now my
have
friend
anything
doesn't talk
to say
about
on it.
Jesus like that anymore.
Right.
Right.
That person is beyond that point.
So what are you
They-
saying?
they-
That sooner or later this is going to snap back and everybody's going to calm down?
I think that once we get the hang of it, we won't feel the need to jump on every
interesting.
single thing. It's a transitional
But like,
period.
what if it was the women who wanted that picture? You know?
Well, that's
Well,
where
that-
the,
yeah,
that's
well,
where
that-
the line
that's
gets.
exactly.
That's where it turns into a gray area, right? Because there's so much of women's independence in that.
Yeah.
All right. So the shit gets skewed because it's like
Exactly. This-
we
it
live in
could-
such
could
a
be both ways.
patriarchal kind of misogynistic world that even women who could be completely on the other side of the spectrum that want to be free and liberated, kind of like flapper culture in the 1920s.
Sure.
You know, but like this idea that people they want to be able to free and exercise those things, that they might be outside the box and outside the comfort zone for a lot of people. It's kind of like when the Me Too movement was really big and gaining steam, and there were marches.
Right.
Women were out there going, "What are you marching for?" Because for some women, that's not what they wanted. You know, so like
You're right.
the conservative value set of staying in the norm of what feels comfortable. It applies across the board to people. So it's not just like everyone wants progressive change or everyone wants that kind of stuff. So
and
going to a party and be like, let me squeeze your tits. It's
but there's different definitions too. Like, so I can't speak to it in any sort of authentic way because I'm not a woman and I'm not a feminist, though I believe in a lot of feminist principles, of course, because they're just correct. So, my issue is that even within that culture, like in a lot of cultures, there seems to be a big divide in what that is supposed to mean. So if you look at like sex workers, they'll say that they're feminists. And then there's a whole other legion of women who call themselves feminists that think you shouldn't be watching porn and sex does not work and you shouldn't be doing this. And then you have a whole other group that thinks, I'm not even included in this. I don't care what any of you think. Right. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a really divided thing.
Well, yeah, because the definition conflicts with other people's views of it.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Sure.
But that's what that goes back to what I was saying before. Like, everybody needs to have compassion for each other and just be like, you have to understand that every single person you meet has a different version of you in their head when they walk away from you.
God, that's scary as fuck, dude.
You're the villain to somebody, you're the good guy to somebody.
Yeah, and when you accept that about yourself, you know, it kind of makes you less judgmental of other people.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, and
As long
I'm
as
saying
you
that
catch
as
it.
someone who was like, I completely understood everything about the Me Too movement. It needed to happen.
Of course.
It needed to happen. And a lot of things, they need to happen and they'll run their course. And the goal isn't to have a Me Too movement. The goal is to not have that. You know what I mean?
Right.
The goal is to not need it.
That's
so I think
interesting.
that's and that's part of the transition.
Yeah.
And we will transition out of that.
And I think a lot of those movements apply across the board where you think, well, why the fuck do we need this to happen? Because some people think, people think that.
Well, that's another big
some
problem.
people who both know and don't know that are ignorant, you know, to that stuff. Maybe not by choice, but just because they've never experienced it, are like, what the hell do we need this shit? Because to them, it's the 1970s and it's like all this kind of hippie bullshit.
Right.
And the reality is that that's our country. That's the way things change. That's the way things move. Our country's based on things like protest, standing up, making sense of things that affect a lot of people. The problem is when you're in the minority or you live in a bubble and you don't see it, it's just hearsay. So when there's an explosion of thought and there's a collective that
a lot of people are going to get
this shit is
uncomfortable with
affecting
that.
a lot of people.
People are going to get uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, it has to happen.
Yeah, and they're going to respond to that.
But
But that movement, I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but that movement, you're right, that movement did have to happen, though. So
absolutely. And those movements aren't meant to make people comfortable.
Yeah. No, it's supposed
The
to
whole
make
point of any kind of rebellion is to make the right people uncomfortable.
Right.
They should be uncomfortable.
Sure.
Because when you find out who the uncomfortable ones are, then you find out who's who.
And here's the other thing, man. Like Seth Rogen said something recently because James Franco got in trouble with something, and Seth Rogen's response was, you know, I think the last person on earth anybody wants to hear talk about this is me because I'm just a big fat old white guy. And I said, you know what? I disagree with you. I think when I look around the bar at all of you guys and
You're
Sarah, I say to myself,
Jewish white guy.
no. Maybe
Funniest
we are the
person to be
fucking
there.
guys who need to be heard and need to be talking about it because we need to be told what the fuck is wrong. We need to be told what the fuck is right. We need to be able to fully understand. So here's my point. I've told this story a bunch of times on the show, and I'll just tell it again really quick. The movement had to happen at the way that it did happen, as hard as it did happen, because, like, if I bump into somebody at work by mistake, that could get me in trouble. Okay? Is that fair personally? Abso-fucking-lutely not. However, in the 1980s, when my father was working for a major car company, he had a rather high position, and he walked into his boss's office, who had a very high position, and he was going in there to talk to him about something. And the boss, that guy's secretary came into the room and said, I need a favor. And the guy said, you know what you need to do if you want a favor. And she walked over to him behind his desk, took his hand like this, and put it on her tit. And he said, now you can ask me. This is in the 1980s, okay? Now,
Got a little too comfortable.
that is not that long ago.
Right.
And that was the norm for a time. Like a time recently. And like that type of mentality
Very valid,
is
yeah.
still happening right the fuck now. So we need to be hit really hard.
Right.
And even those of us who feel like we're good guys still kind of have to take a moment to
I need to get
review.
checked.
You know what I'm saying? We have to kind of review, okay, I know I've been taught this and I know that I grew up thinking this, but I think I need to rethink some things.
Well, what's your take on all this?
It's a lot like Grease, man.
I meant Sarah.
Well, now my
feel
take
like
is
we're a bunch
now
of
it's
dudes, so
like
yeah.
Grease,
Like
honestly.
She stole his answer.
Bankruptcy
Wait.
Travolta
Social
walks
disruption?
in.
No, seriously, like, we can't just be a bunch of dudes talking
Economic
over the only
collapse.
woman here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely needs to happen. I think that honestly, the people that whenever any sort of movement happens, the people that bother me the most are the ones that the ones that have to complain about the movement for no reason, like you know, Colin Kaepernick. People have to complain about that, but they're not offering anything except a fucking negative opinion about someone else's, you know, fight against something that's
Yes.
affecting them.
Right.
Right.
And it's like if someone's going out of their way to fight hard for something that they're screaming on the top of their lungs, like, this is happening to me, and look, it's happening to these thousands upon thousands and thousands of people, and you like close your eyes to it, like, that's such a huge willful ignorant, it's just
It's not willful. It's the appalling pace of how appalling it is.
It's
Fuck.
real, no, it's
but,
willful ignorance. That's what
but
it's
I
called.
don't
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know what exactly has to shift in order for things to be seen or changed differently. Like I don't truly feel like there's gonna ever be a time where like women and men feel
The same way.
equal in society. I don't see that. Like I talked about this once before on the show about how there was someone posted on Twitter a while ago. A chick wrote, "Girls, what do you carry with you when you have to go to your car in a
She
parking
showed me
lot?"
this and I was shocked,
And
dude.
Yeah,
It
and
was
it's like
just
response after
thousands and
response.
thousands
Yeah.
of women with like, I always have this in my hand if I have to walk into a store by myself, or if I'm going to my car to, even if it's just outside my house, I always have this or
But how-
that. And there were a bunch of men's responses that were like, "Oh my God, I had like every woman in my life just told me, yeah, this is just."
It's like normal, yeah.
And like guys by the thousands were shocked, and I don't feel like there'll ever be a time
I have a
where
question
guys
about that,
will
though.
fully inherently understand that that's a way of life, and
Well, that
women
means
will
way less
ever
guys are
feel
getting
like
maced.
they're safe to not do that.
I feel like
I
I
can't
feel like the
imagine
shock
a
is better
shift
than the
happening
Hold on, I have a
alternative.
response to that. Hold on. Finish up.
Well, it's hard for me to imagine a shift that happens so hard,
Right.
where guys will understand what that feels like as just part of your being, and I don't know if I can imagine a time where girls will ever not instinctually feel that they have to do that. It's very hard to imagine.
What was your question?
Do you think that's taught though, or do you think that's like an instinctual thing?
Dude,
No,
it's
it's
because
taught,
girls
Encounter weirdness from
obviously
dudes
I'm
in
not
the
gonna speak
private
for every
space
female,
way too
but
often.
most females
That's the thing.
have some percentage of awareness of a feeling of, like, if I get in an elevator and there's one guy who walks in the
Eesh.
elevator, I don't feel okay. I
Really?
don't feel okay.
Is
No.
that because
and
of like
most
society
female-
and like things that you know
Yeah.
I'll be
of?
perfectly honest.
Yes,
I don't
that's
feel
how-
okay with one
And,
guy.
Yeah.
Men taught women that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
if
feel that,
you're-
yeah.
if I'm a chick alone and I'm like at a store and there's a guy in the same aisle as me too long, I'm hyper aware if I go to the next
Really?
aisle if he fall. Most females
Wow.
have that in their heads
Never even thought
because
about that.
it's hard to feel like. It's hard to feel as a female that if there's a guy around that wants something from you, you're gonna be able to tell him no if you don't want him to have it.
Right.
And that applies to every guy that you encounter in your public life. So if you're at a grocery store, if you're in a little bodega and there's just a guy behind the counter and he gives you a weird look, you instantly feel like you need to get the fuck away, like as a chick. And it's hard for me to imagine a society where chicks don't have that instinct.
Yeah.
Or
that's-
need it.
yeah.
It's a survival
That's the transition
instinct.
we're in, though. That's what the Me Too movement is.
And
This
I
is
hope
what,
that that's what it comes to, but
the
it's
whole
hard to
that's
imagine.
every time something like this happens, it's a step towards that reality.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to shop online for a baby pink case for your mace because they market them towards women.
Do you think that it is going to balance out? Like, do you guys think that eventually, like eventually, as a
Eventually
comedian,
the guy's gonna stop being
so here's my
fucking-
question: eventually, is a comedian going to be able to walk out on stage and literally be able to make fun of anyone without any real hard criticism?
gonna get worse.
Because everybody's equal enough that you can do that.
So that's interesting. That's pretty interesting. I think that right now the whole comedian thing, I have like zero sympathy for them.
Interesting.
Zero.
Interesting.
I have zero sympathy. Like, I want my comedy. I don't care. She's talking about feeling threatened by standing in an elevator with someone.
Sure.
That's more important than your jokes. Like, to you, it's a joke. To someone else, it's literally the reason people are dying.
I think
and they
there's-
don't think they think that's a gross exaggeration. But what happens is this: I make a joke about a trans person. Okay, they hear it, they swallow it. They don't do anything because they don't feel safe. But every single time that happens, they do it again. No one can withstand that forever. Eventually, that person, as has happened how many times, commits suicide or does something like,
Sure.
to harm themselves, or even just simply can't live their truth because they don't feel safe in their environment. Okay?
I have.
And then, wait. And then the next step is the opposite happens. That person turns around and goes, "What the fuck did you just say?" And then that person, whoever made that joke, is going to double down on it because they want their joke. Everyone's so sensitive. No. Say that again. Say that to my face. Then it escalates. I push you, you push me. This guy's friend jumps in, and then a trans person gets beaten to death. It escalates from snide remarks like that or comments, and we think it's just jokes.
Yeah.
But when a comedian goes on stage, they are in a position of influence, and they make all of our jokes seem okay and normal because he's saying it, and that's how these things like penetrate a society and make people feel less safe.
I think that from a comedy perspective, not that comedy has limits,
Right.
but I think there are certain topics where you can crack jokes, but you have to do it in a demeanor or a way that are not targeting.
You have to use tact.
Yeah, you have to be able to use.
Here's the thing. So
Tact is
comedy.
using sarcasm as a joke in a way where you think at least your audience gets the sarcasm. I think the ultimate problem in today's society for comedians is exactly what we started this conversation out with. There aren't enough fucking people in the audience that have the understanding of the difference between satire, sarcasm, stuff like that.
That's a problem.
To make a difference in that. And it's not a matter of intellect, it's not a matter of ignorance, it's just a matter of common understanding of things.
But here's what I wish. I wish that people, to some extent, I do agree with what you're saying. But I do think that stand-up comedy is evolving as a result of how things are changing. Right now, I think that for as much shit as he still takes, I think that Bill Burr is an evolved comic at this point. Because he can bring up things about women and about things like that seem not exactly neutral, but his approach and his delivery are way more intelligent than, say, maybe Andrew Dice Clay would have been in 1988.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, don't you feel that Dice
So-
was looking to be offensive
But
and
that
get
was the
comedy
thing.
out of it,
Dice
where Bill Burr
wanted
is
to be.
passing a
Right,
comment
right.
to get a
Right.
oh shit,
But that's not
reaction
it. But
and
that's
no,
not everything.
come on with the fucking
That's not
horse
everything.
shit.
Somebody I talked to, I'm not going to say who, got mad, and we had a conversation about Patrice O'Neal. Now, in my opinion, Patrice O'Neal was one of the greatest comics who ever lived.
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
Now,
I know Patricia Neal.
her
He's a
issue with
comedic
Patrice
genius,
O'Neal.
but he died.
Patrice
Sexist
O'Neal.
as fuck.
His what?
Sexist as fuck.
Okay, but here's the thing.
But-
Here's the thing about
but-
the delivery.
yeah,
the
it's the
delivery was
delivery.
important to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So, as somebody who studies language and behavior in people constantly, if you pay attention to his stand-up comedy, like he does a whole bit called Sexual Harassment Day, right? But here's the thing: if you really pay attention to Patrice O'Neal, Patrice O'Neal is making fun of himself
No, yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen him.
He keeps saying, "Oh, this is the way we used to think." I'm old. I'm a dinosaur now. I'm old. He says it all the time. I'm old. I'm outdated. I'm done. It's a self-critique that he's doing when he's up there. So what bothers me about stand-up comedy is that he can go up on stage and do a self-critique, but if he doesn't say outright, this is a self-critique, then no one takes it that way. Or people don't take it that way and they get upset about it. But I can tell that that's what the fuck he's doing.
He wouldn't, if he just came up right now, he wouldn't survive.
He wouldn't survive right now. No.
People wouldn't even allow it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, boo.
But you know what it is? To me, it's like on my list of priorities, comedians just aren't
It's art.
on it. Like,
But that's the
there's
other
no-
That's
thing,
like
yeah.
censoring art.
kind of.
Kind of.
I mean, very loosely.
It's like censoring books. It's like
it's
censoring...
entertainment.
But here's
And
the
it's
thing.
on the outskirts of that.
But are we talking about censorship, or are we talking about, hey, you're going to get the response you're going to get?
Yeah, no one's
That's
saying that
fine.
they
They
can't
know
go on
that.
and say that.
Right.
We're not.
That's-
Yeah, the
they know
censorship
that
is
when
when
they
I'm
say
not
it.
allowing them to say that. We're not
Right.
saying they can't say it. They're saying whatever the hell they want to say. What we're talking about is, do I need to respect this art form enough to not protest it and
Now,
speak out against it?
On the other
I don't.
hand, though, I'm a Doug Stanhope fan.
And protest a comedian, though?
Doug Stanhope says any fucking thing he wants that he thinks will get a fucking laugh. Anything. But here's the other thing, too. The more famous you are and the more influence you have, the more subject you are to fucking criticism.
That's 100% fact.
Okay? Now, Bill Burr can go up on stage. He says the wrong joke. He's done. Amy Schumer says the wrong thing. She's fucking done. Doug Stanhope went up on stage and he called Sarah Palin's kid
Different
a
audience.
retard
Different
and
audience.
said that if the Secret Service had been there when she was giving birth, they would have shot it in the fucking head on the way out because it
that's
was
the
splitting
difference.
her in half from
Most
its
people
giant
that go
head.
to see comedians know who they're going to see.
That's
and know
right.
What kind of material they're going to
But
see.
when it's a pop comedian, it's different.
You should not go, it's like going to see a band that you've never heard before. It's like there might be something you don't like.
I mean, have you ever
Right.
watched the
You know,
videos
like,
of the
that's
comedians
fair.
that say things on stage and people get up and fucking
that's
throw
that's
shit
why
at
I think
them
it's
and
so
like,
bullshit.
yeah, right.
It's like you're not gonna go see a movie if you don't like the movie. You know, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just- Don't
But
go
that's
see
the other
it.
thing too, man.
You don't like the comedian, don't go watch the
So
comedian.
let me give you an example, right? We're in an age right now where
You don't like certain
You-
art.
you-
Don't look at the fucking art on the wall.
The
You know,
last
like,
time
go
I
look at
heard-
something else.
the last time I heard a rape joke that was funny might have been George Carlin when he said, "Picture Porky Pig raping Elmer Fudd." Okay, and he thought, and like at the time
actually
in
fucking hysterical.
1990 or
remember
whatever,
that,
that
yeah.
was really funny, right? But it's all about delivery and tact. Who here has seen the movie? What was the movie with Seth Rogen and James Franco and
the end of the world or whatever.
The End of the World? This is the end. It's called
I
or
didn't see
whatever.
it.
Yeah.
Right? And what's the name of the actress who plays Hermione
Emma
in Harry
Watson?
Potter?
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, right? So they did a whole fucking bit in that fucking movie where they were just like, all right, Emma is in the bathroom. We have to protect her from everybody out there because the world's like turning into hell, right? Like we have to make sure that nobody hurts her. Because if somebody finds her, they're gonna kill her or they're gonna rape her or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And Emma Watson comes out in the bathroom. She goes, "I'm sorry, what the fuck are you guys
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?"
she, like,
and I'm like,
flicks
"Well,
her
we just
ass
want to
or
make sure
something.
nobody hurts you or rapes you." And she goes, "What do you mean you guys are gonna fucking rape?" And she like pulls out a knife. She goes, "Nobody's gonna rape." And I thought to myself, I said, "This is an extended rape joke. That's what it is."
Kind
But
of.
because the delivery is tactful and intelligent and well done, they took that subject and were able to write it into a joke.
Right.
So sometimes I wonder with stand-up comedy, how much of it do you have to view as the fiction of the comic? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like a comic
Kind
goes
of.
up on stage and says,
It
You
just
can't-
comes
you
down
can't
to-
tell me
yeah,
what
but
I believe based
whatever
on what
the
I
fuck-
think is
whether
gonna make
it's
you
their
laugh.
fucking fiction or the truth or whatever. The point is that if you go on stage, any stage, if you're an actor, a comedian, whatever, you're subject to the opinion of the people who are watching you.
Well, yeah, it's
Right.
like it's like boycotting a movie because it has a rape scene in it. It's like if it's part of the story, are you just gonna like just be mad at it because it's part of the story? Like I don't know. Like
But people do that now even
I
with
think
things less than
there's
that.
there's something to be said though for positions of influence. Like when you have a microphone, you're in a position of influence.
yeah, but if you're
So-
Scorsese, say, like a prominent director that the whole world knows, you're, you know, like if
And
you
his
have a rape
movies are
scene,
brutal.
you
They're
know,
brutal, yeah.
you're a guy of, you know, whatever you were
Of
saying,
influence,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
influence,
sure.
and you know, nobody says anything about it. It's the same
And
kind of
Scorsese
thing.
takes some backhands all the time.
Or, well, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But nobody's, like, trying to stop him from doing what he's doing.
Sure.
It's only a handful of people, maybe.
And how does he respond to those
It's
backhands?
You know,
He
he
just
gets
goes-
awards for it.
He kind of just does what he does. But
Yeah,
I mean,
you know.
but again, I think he has tact, and also it's less
Yeah.
it's less about a joke with him.
Right.
It's less
Right,
about a
more
joke.
about the art.
Yeah,
Right.
the jokes are really, really the
It-
problematic part, because the jokes are what kids repeat. The jokes are what really hammers home your bigotry, because they make it normalized. They desensitize you to it, like from a young age.
And is that because young people theoretically don't understand nuance,
Yes.
intent, and
Yes.
sarcasm? Because I got to tell you something. By the time I was 10 years old, I had a lot of George Carlin and a lot of Andrew Dice Clay and a lot of Eddie Murphy all
when you were
memorized.
10 years
But
old,
I
you
am
had
exception
it-
to the rule and not the rule.
Yeah, but I don't know
but
if
I
I
don't
am,
even
though.
know-
No, that's not
Go
true.
ahead.
It's not the exception to the rule, because at 10 years old, he might have had all of those things in his arsenal. But at 10 years old, he didn't know a bunch of people who had committed suicide yet. He didn't know a bunch of people with
That's a
eating
good point.
disorders yet.
Yeah.
He hadn't experienced knowing
Right.
of having a friend who was raped or
So you had no personal
gay or
context
whatever.
or any of it.
Not at 10 years
Right,
old.
right.
All you did was see this guy
You
and
hear-
people
you
laugh and
hear
your
the
dad
jokes.
Yeah, but
laughed
see,
and
this
you
is
would go
another
laugh
thing.
with
Okay,
him
but
and-
hold on. I got to say one more thing. I'm
the
sorry, not
context
cutting anybody
comes
off.
later, and that's when you realize, like, maybe that
Well, that's where
shady.
compassion comes in, and that's
Yeah.
where.
Who's the talk show host you
We're
hate?
taking
But
away
who has
individual
compassion and empathy
responsibility.
and
of
The
how
guy,
you
the guy with
feel
the
about it?
glasses
Who
and the
knows that?
gap beneath his
No,
teeth,
that's her point, though.
between his teeth.
Letterman?
Letterman.
Yeah, but
He
see,
has a gap.
So David, so
Letterman.
That's it.
Well,
So
well,
hold
well,
on,
which
hold on,
James-
guys.
which
So
Steve
Letterman-
does not like is me.
Letterman notoriously has fucked up left and right when it comes to comedy. One of the things he fucked up was cutting Bill Hicks' last act, which he shouldn't have done. But I have something that I can relate to what you're saying, and here's my response to it. Letterman once made a joke about Lyme disease.
Yeah.
Okay? With Lyme disease in my fucking
That's why I don't like
house.
him, but it's
Okay?
my personal.
That's
Dude,
your
you
personal
have to be all
opinion, right?
grossed out, like, in my
It wasn't
head.
gross. It wasn't a grossed out thing.
That was
So-
an angry one. That was
So Letterman makes the Lyme disease joke,
And
right?
there are people in your family who have
she
it, or-
was like, fuck David Letterman.
Okay.
And then I heard the joke, and when I heard him do it, I went, yeah, fuck David
I
Letterman.
said the same thing about the
And
Simpsons.
everybody laughed.
Like that,
They
right?
made
But,
the same joke.
but there's something I have to resolve within myself as somebody who loves comedy. It was kind of a good joke still, though.
But
And
who
that's the
cares?
fucking worst part. That's the
it wasn't.
worst
No,
part.
see, this is what I was going to say, is that we're removing the individual responsibility of how situations affect you.
Yeah, I didn't try and I didn't.
You know, it's like, it's your responsibility
To
of how
not watch
the
it
world
again.
affects you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But here's the thing.
it's
the thing,
not
though.
the
At
comic's
same time-
responsibility how you feel about it.
See, I have a
Oof.
comment for that, because that is true. But I
Man.
choose to let things that don't directly affect me affect me.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
see, that's the problem.
No, it's
in
not
my-
the
in
problem.
my-
That's
in my
what makes
view.
me a compassionate person.
Well, no,
because
see,
when
you can
someone's
be
saying
compassionate
Black Lives
without-
Matter, I'm
without,
not
like,
black,
something
but I still
affecting
think
you.
Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Like just
You don't
because
have
something
to
doesn't.
protest something just because you can be empathetic.
No,
about
I'm not
it,
going to
you know?
protest it because I don't like
No,
it.
but
I'm
you
gonna protest
understand
it.
the protest.
You understand it.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
going to protest something because I don't like it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't like. There's a lot of shit that I don't like that people think is awesome. Okay, I don't like.
Here's
Adam
the thing
Sandler
about
movies.
me. I can make fun of you and your issue and also care about you and your issue simultaneously.
Right, and I think that people have problems when they can tell that person doesn't give a fuck about me. They're just
Oh, when
making
they're
me
being
a
a dick or
joke.
whatever.
Okay,
I'm
but hold
only
on.
a joke to
But
them.
hold on,
I don't know if
So
you
if you
can
listen to
sometimes.
Eminem's lyrics, right?
Sometimes
He
it's
comes,
obvious,
Eminem
sometimes
gets
not.
pegged
He's
as a
a perfect
misogynist
example, yeah.
and all this other shit, right? But if you look at Eminem's personal life, the amount of abuse he's taken by women is pretty atrocious. At the same time, he also raised a daughter in a household
Dude, he
where there was
adopted a
hold
ton of
on,
his family.
hold on. He raised a daughter in a household where there was no swearing. She's never been involved in a scandal. She went to a Ivy League school. She's doing fucking very well. He also adopted his ex-wife's sister's
Right.
daughter
Right.
because she was a drug addict and living in a trailer park and she was falling apart. Adopted her, took care of her whole life. And when you look at his real life, his real personal life, he is taking care of so many women with no praise from anyone at all because he didn't turn it into a press thing. You have to dig for those fucking details.
Oh,
and then
yeah?
you listen to his music and you go, oh, well, fuck this guy. And it's like, well, hold on though. But if you really look at the dude's life, it's not really like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like,
But
so
why?
like, do we have a responsibility as spectators to separate the entertainment from the entertainer?
Well,
Because
why
Dave
anything?
Chappelle,
Why do you have
Dave
to focus
Chappelle,
on it at all if you don't like it?
Dave Chappelle is another great example because Dave Chappelle famously gets in trouble for doing trans jokes all the time.
Yeah.
Recently, there was a trans stand-up comedian who passed away. And what a lot of people don't know is that trans comedian was opening for Dave Chappelle. And that person was opening for Dave Chappelle because when Dave Chappelle was doing trans jokes, that was the person that was laughing the loudest and the hardest. They met, they talked, they became great friends, and that person opened for Dave Chappelle. So now people think of the jokes he tells, but they don't know the story of the people he knew or the things he did.
Yeah, but that's
You
not
shouldn't have
everyone.
to.
It's not. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It's not
okay,
your
I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying I
Don't
agree
you
The
or
feel
only
that-
disagree
reason
or
you
know or
know
don't
it is
know.
because you like it.
But don't you feel that people that react that way, right? For instance, that trans person, based on their experience and their life as that person, can either take themselves way too fucking seriously, right?
Mhm.
Or be very complacent with the way society treats its people,
Which is bad.
or react diligently against that kind of stuff, right?
Sure.
Based on life experiences. So, in the instance of people taking things very, very violently about that, or like getting angry about, reactionarily wise,
Sure.
if they've been bullied their whole life for that, or that it's affected their life to where family members have been lost because of a certain health issue or something
Yeah.
like that, it's going to trigger somebody. And it doesn't mean that they're soft. It doesn't mean that they are some crazy fucking reactionary person. It just means that in that person's history, they've been affected greatly by it.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah,
people
they have a level of
who may
PTSD.
have not have dealt that and have been dealt with by a bunch of compassionate people who understand their life circumstances can joke about themselves a lot more openly.
Survival looks differently for everyone.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like, so it goes back to if we bring everybody's conversation full circle, right? The things you're saying about if I'm going to a comedian show, and I know that Andrew Dice fucking Clay is going to
gonna
say
do what
some
he does,
fucked up shit,
Right.
right? Or George Carlin's going to satirically talk about a whole bunch of shit,
Right.
or Bill Burr, who is fucking nuts. So
Right.
is Louis Black. You know, like
Sure.
what I was going to give was a for instance of when you said you were 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, my favorite comedian outside of George Carlin was Dennis Leary. And Dennis Leary
yeah.
had come out with that fucking CD, that album,
I'm an
that
asshole.
fucking was
I'm
an
fucking.
asshole. Which he ripped
But
off.
he was fucking nasty. The whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is nasty. He
Pretty
jokes on people that died.
I mean, he was a hack, but he was good, yeah.
Right, he could be a hack when he was. His delivery is fucking hysterical,
Sure,
right?
sure.
When you're 10, that shit's fucking funny.
Sure,
you
right,
don't
exactly.
know why.
Right, yeah,
But at
you
the
don't know
same
why,
time
right.
that he was out, there was a series of books that came out called Truly Tasteless Jokes. And it was like a 4-volume small series of jokes that were fucking highly inappropriate. No kid
Right,
should
right.
ever own it.
Sure.
And I regurgitated those jokes to my adult family members at Christmas and Thanksgiving because I was reading them out of the book, and they're dying. I have
Right.
no idea what the fuck I'm saying. The
Right,
jokes
right,
are
right,
about
right.
VD, STDs, gay people,
How old are
Jewish
you
people,
during this?
black people. I was like 9 or 10 years old.
You were killing.
I know.
I was killing
He was a 9-year-old racist, is what he was.
My family members, but that was a learning experience for me in hindsight. 10 years later, I'm like,
Right,
holy
sure.
fucking Christ. You know, you come across that and you're like, this is terrible. Like,
Yeah,
so
it's rough.
so what you
It's
what you
rough.
pointed out before is that you had that arsenal.
Right.
But you didn't quite know who you'd be offending. And it's not so much that we moved on to a point where we're so sensitive. It's that you could have offended people out of your family's sphere.
Right,
But
sure.
probably none of your family members could relate to that joke.
Right.
And there are persons that have not been offended ever because they're strong enough to deal with their own.
Here's why it personally hurts me. It personally hurts me because I feel like a lot of people nowadays who get pegged as being, let's say, less than liberal nowadays are some of the people that shaped my thought into being as liberal as it really is right now. And a lot of those comedians who told those
Yeah.
jokes that were
That's the funny-
sexist and
that's the
racist
funny
and all
part,
those
yeah.
things are the
ironic.
reason why I'm an open-minded person
Yes.
now. So it makes me, so the reason why it hurts me or makes me angry, like that's my reaction, like to what you said when you're like, fuck the comedians. I'm like, yeah, but wait a minute. The reason I care about people is because of comedians.
I think
like,
you have to be exposed
I
to
learned
things to
positive
understand them
lessons
fully,
from those
yeah.
people who said those terrible things.
Right, but
So-
I think you might have to recognize that you're at the offset to the bell curve.
and that's possible. It's possible that's true.
Like-
but I don't know that it is because I'm surrounded by people with dark senses of humor, but who also are accepting of everybody. So it's
Yeah. Sure.
That's my orbit. You know.
But
what I
I'm
mean?
also
We're
surrounded
not
by
talk-
people
you're not
who have a
talking
dark
about average
sense.
people.
But how many people have a dark sense of humor who don't fucking accept everybody?
That's
That's
true,
part
too.
of the problem.
That's
is
true,
that
too.
We're in a world where it's like,
Yes.
oh, fuck political correctness. I want to be able to crack the joke, except for your joke's not a fucking joke.
Yeah, except it's
Your
not a
joke
joke. Right,
is-
you're right. You're right.
That's what I
Your
was saying
joke's
before.
funny to you because you're actually bullying
Right,
that
yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
person.
It
Well, then
upsets
it's not
me
a joke
because
anymore.
I
Now
feel
it's an
like
insult.
Right, but it's like 50% of the fucking population of
Is
the
it
United
50?
States is like,
It's less than
fuck
50.
that
I don't know.
person.
There's the
listen to
difference
this
between a joke and just a flat
Gentlemen,
out
can
fuck
I,
you insult.
Can I
You
just
know what I mean?
can I jump to the chat for just a second because people are saying
Yeah.
things. Let's see.
Nick
Nick
Doe,
is
I
in
love
the
that
chat.
one.
Nick, 100% of women have. Sarah, can you read that? I can't see past the birch.
100% of women have to worry about 1% of men.
I have 2 teenage daughters, and I had to teach
That's
them
probably an
that
accurate
not all
statistic.
men are monsters, but you have to be
Probably
prepared
Probably
for
more,
that
yeah.
dude who is. Okay,
it's probably
hey,
like
DJ Alien, what's
3%.
up, buddy? Bill Burr is a parody of himself. He is almost playing a satirical version of a. I don't know if anybody can see.
Middle-aged white guy from Boston.
I agree.
He's right, actually.
Yeah. You will see him
Which is
break
also
character
actually
and
so
laugh at how ridiculous something he just said was. And that's what I think too. I think Bill
uses a lot
Burr
of the
does
same
what
jokes.
Patrice O'Neill does. I think it is a self-critique. He is making fun of himself. And I think that if you're not intelligent enough to understand comedy, you shouldn't watch it too.
Yeah,
So I agree with you, and I agree with you
Yeah.
to varying
I mean,
degrees.
I
like, do you understand what I'm
do
saying?
agree,
Like,
Yeah.
you know that it is fucked up to just come at somebody or a whole
Sure.
group of people.
sure.
You know, and attack them in,
Right.
in a way that maybe be funny to a handful of people, but
Right.
offends a
Well, that's
majority. But
right.
are these jokes offending the majority? You know, like what's
Well, think about it like this.
How,
Think
how
about
are they
it. If you
done?
guys-
Like, what
if you
are
watch-
like I don't know the specific examples.
If
or
you
anything.
watch,
All right.
well, if you take it away from the highly offensive, and you focus on something that's more in today's terms, the last maybe 4 or 5 years, a political satirical joke, right? Like if you take a nightly show, or you take like a Jon Stewart, or you take like a John Oliver. John Oliver blatantly hates Donald Trump.
Totally,
right?
openly, yeah.
Now,
He's
last week
great at it,
tonight,
too.
last week tonight, fucking hates Donald Trump. He hates everything about business-related Republicans. And he gets sued by them all the fucking time.
Yeah.
But at the fucking bulk of his show, at the point of his show, is to share real information that is
That will really
pertinent
help
to the
people.
population.
Yeah.
If you can't watch that show and get through the jokes about shit that are both real
Yeah.
and comical,
Right.
but offend your political views, then you don't have a sense of fucking humor where it's like, all right, you could crack that joke. Like, you're going to turn it
Also,
off
how
immediately.
how dedicated are you really then to your political views? Because if that little joke is going to shake you
Right.
from them,
you should
then
not.
You really don't
you,
give
you
a
don't care
shit.
about your politics.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just-
exactly.
You're just so hurt by
Exactly.
shit like that. That's why
Yes.
when that term snowflake came out, it was like, that applies to everybody.
I'm so
Yes,
tired.
it
That's
fucking
really-
does.
it's
Yeah,
not
man.
just-
I
that's not
totally agree
Democrats
with
and
that.
Because
liberals,
nobody
that's-
is more
that's
offended by
50-50 down
shit
the
than
middle.
Republicans
Right,
are, man.
but I actually think it's
Nobody,
50-50.
dude.
I actually think it's 50-50. I think depending
yeah,
on the
it is
spectrum,
kinda 50-50.
it really is to
Yeah,
an
it
extreme.
is,
I can
right.
sit in the middle and go, that's some crazy liberal shit to the point where it's like you're too fucking, like you're off the fucking charts.
Totally,
offended by
dude.
something. But the same person
Look,
that's
man,
like,
look,
you bitch
listen.
ass, you look over and,
And-
you go,
and both
but
sides
you,
get that, man.
on the other hand, are really
Republicans
pushing the limits here.
get hurt over everything, and Democrats' problem is they can't get out of their own way.
Yes.
They can't get out of their. It's like watching Democrats when somebody punches a Nazi, and then I got to watch liberals argue on Facebook about whether or not it was okay to punch that Nazi. I'm going to tell all you liberals right now:
Remember
if
when
somebody's got a swastika, you can punch the motherfucker. It's okay to defend yourself, dude. Like, and that's what you're doing.
Remember when there was a difference between liberal and Democrat?
Yeah.
Like there was Democratic liberals
Yeah,
and there
yeah.
was Democratic other things,
Yeah.
and now it's just if you're a Democrat, you're a liberal.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, but now it's just a big population of people who don't know what each of them even
no,
mean.
Yeah,
idea.
exactly right.
No idea.
That's very
Right.
true.
They don't know the definition of either. They don't know, and they definitely don't know how to separate liberal and
'Cause I am
conservative from
definitely not a
Republican and
liberal,
Democrat.
but-
They don't-
No,
I
I can't
lean more
identify
towards a
anymore.
Democrat.
But I lean more toward it. Like
but
that's the thing.
why?
But not liberal.
Why do you have to
Liberal
fucking
is-
identify
I like
with
more
anything?
government.
But that's the thing. I don't
involved in my
identify
life.
with anything. I'm just
Why
saying
would you
that.
want more
that-
government?
And I'll tell you right now,
if you're for,
If 80% of the population were a little bit more educated, no one would fucking
no one would even.
identify
We
with
wouldn't
so-
be having this
Yeah,
conversation.
that's true.
I got because I'm doing I'm sharing it. So I have the watch. It's like a watch party.
Sure.
So Diana Capra, who is probably one of the most incredible painters I personally know.
Cool.
Amazing artist. In order to not get offended, one has to learn to not take things personal. Comedians are there to add humor to all aspects in life, even the most sensitive subjects. If someone is not an extremely open-minded person and feels offended by their humor, they need to not appear. P.S. All aspects of art walk in dark places. People need to lighten up.
I agree.
All aspects of dark.
And maybe when all
Yeah,
this
pretty
evens out, maybe when we're past the transition period, as you put it,
Yeah, I think it's a transition.
people will go, yeah, all right, maybe we can make fun of each other again. Maybe that's okay. Listen, I hate to do this, man, but I gotta cut to the break, so I gotta move around you here and run a piece of content. We have all kinds of music from Gibby Stites coming up. I think DJ Alien is in there. I don't know if Wade Wilson is in there or not, but there's a bunch of different stuff coming up. So just let me out of here so I can
Is
do
there a
that.
timer?
And there's a timer on it, yes.
Good old timer.
So stick with us, everybody, and turn it up.
Doctor says I need a backiotomy.
Come on, man. Come on, wait, man.
You know.
This song is unreleased. This is a brand new song off of regularly scheduled programming titled Bluntville. And bye, that's it. It has not been released anywhere. This is the premiere.
Watch this demonstration.
I made the beat for this one. This is one of my self-produced tracks. I performed this one time before at the Mill Hill Basement. So technically it's been seen, but by very few eyes. This is the world premiere. Check it out. Chain smoking Bluntvilles, contemplating what's real. I've been racing uphill, trying to make a fucking meal. Hungry man, what's the deal? Your belt buckle getting stuck. Only time you tuck the steel, yup, it's real. Gibby get the legend back to run the field. Busy as fuck still, and everybody wanna chill. I'm grateful for the love, but they was hating on the scrub not that long ago. Got the longer dough, what they thinking in they mud? Like what you drinking in your mug? Gibby, fill it up. Sight what it's really like, I'm in the negative with funds. But as corny as it sounds, I'm feeling rich with opportunity. Got a fistful of this loot, I'ma spend it all while doing these ciphers and shows. Light intro and then I'm moving 3 spaces. I'm me states away to hit the stage. New to me like it's cool to me. New kid, don't tutor me, cause I do this. Make movement, stream lucid. Take 2 hits of that new fifth. Lately I got a lot on my mind, baby, but I know that we gon' be fine. Gotta keep up with the heat, I'm feeling seasoned in my prime. And all I ever needed was a reason and a rhyme. Lately I got a lot on my mind, baby, but I know that we gon' be fine. Gotta keep up with the heat, I'm feeling seasoned in my prime. And all I ever needed was a reason and a rhyme. Fuck the safer route, positive that I'll make it now. They can never take my cloud or paper out my bank account. Hit the stage and wow the crowd, take a bow, the haze come out. I hit it twice and make a cloud before a hater can make a sound. They can doubt, but it won't take a toll on me. As if I had an easy pass attached and we ain't rolling deep. I roll with 3, maybe 2 homies that done made the crew. They all knew the many places making tunes would take me to. Staring out Mount Rushmore, motherfucker, make some room. Now I'm finna invade the moon, the space to spread my greatness too. They only say they love me when I'm out of town. I'm a couple states away, so hit me when I'm back around. Blunt hit it, Asher hit it, ain't no passing around. I'm by my lonely for the night, putting in work in mass amounts. My ex, I used to text her shit, trying to call my phone. I told that hoe I'm doing better now, like Post Malone. Lately I got a lot on my mind, baby, but I know that we gon' be fine. Gotta keep up with the heat, I'm feeling seasoned in my prime. And all I ever needed was a reason and a rhyme. Lately I got a lot on my mind, baby, but I know that we gon' be fine. Gotta keep up with the heat, I'm feeling seasoned in my prime. And all I ever needed was a reason and a rhyme. Now, that is Bluntville, off of the upcoming album, regularly scheduled programming, coming this motherfucking winter. You got the exclusive here on Awesome Talk, the best podcast on the East Coast. I'm claiming that now. Thank you, I appreciate y'all.
I'm so happy to have you guys. Fucking Awesome Talk is fucking awesome. I'm having a great time. It's been a rough couple of years. Craving all your innocence, how one could live for days like this. Well, I've been memorizing patterns, compromising my existence, living just to stay distant. your politics. But I cannot go on like this. I cannot go on in bliss through history. We left our mark. The problem is it smells like tar. The problem is it fuels the car. The problem is maybe it's the way that we communicate. Are we inherently selfish, inbred, or agitated while we're founded and surrounded here by white supremacy? But all the people who can change things are the ones that fail to see. Are we the offspring of the most violent rapists of our time? Because back then the biggest assholes were the ones that could survive. So they say, so they shouted out a car at me when I walked down the street. Cause I'll just shake my fist and vow to avenge my own murderous ancestry. Blah. Solutions are evasive to this lackadaisical equation. Some become complacent, clean the cobwebs from the basement, dust the boxes full of memoirs. Hesitant, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Just show me yours. Show me buying into superstition, appropriate misinformation. Faith now is our only fate left, so let's get annihilated. Hear the music, time to face it. Did we choose this? Can we change it? Did you walk 2 fucking moons, bitch? Cause we're all doomed if you didn't. Maybe it's the way that we communicate. Are we inherently selfish, inbred, or agitated while we're founded and surrounded here by white supremacy? But all the people who could change things are the ones that fail to see. Are we the offspring of the most violent rapists over time? Because back then the biggest assholes were the ones that could survive. So they say, so they wrote it in a book. But hey, who wrote that book, by the way? It's not dangerous if I'm dangerous. 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 If I'm dangerous. If I'm dangerous. If I'm dangerous. Thank you. You sure? One more? Is that okay? Okay.
Decision now!
Sunny side.
Yes?
Chords all like, oh. Yep.
In late-stage capitalism, it's very easy to look out into this world and see a lot of bleakness. But we here at the Swagmatics want you to try your best to realize you have a whole life to live.
Out in the distance, on the horizon, I dreams of a better tomorrow. So maybe today may be cloudy and gray, every hour is sorrow. Say it alright. You gotta see the bigger picture. You gotta see the sunny side. Say it is alright. Let it ride. Down on the corner, under the street lamp, you stand with your hand in your pocket. The world is turning. Hey. picture. You gotta see the sunny side. Oh, right. Let it ride.
Thank you, friend.
Keep on keeping on, yeah. Yeah. Silver linings seldom found when you're looking down. Raise your eyes, realize I've been standing by your side. Yeah, say that it's alright. You gotta see the bigger picture. You gotta see the sunny side. Alright. Let it ride. Now everybody sing it with me. Yeah. Alright. Gotta see the bigger picture. Gotta see the sunny side. Alright. Let it ride. Yeah.
That is fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, dude. Yeah.
Hi, fans.
Can I just say something? My house is so much fucking cooler than your fucking house.
Yes, it is, bro.
It just is.
Truth hurts.
Thank you so much, guys. Inside now.
Thank you.
The night grows dark, it gets cold again. Sometimes I wonder where you've been. And even though I've heard all the reasons why, you'll always be that star in my sky. If these walls could talk, they try to forget the time they've spent hearing me lament. 'Cause the pain I feel just can't be pushed aside. 'Cause you'll always be that star in my sky. everyone I know says you did me wrong. Well, I never thought I'd have to sing this song, 'cause we promised our love until the day we die. So you'll always be that star in my sky. But I'll stand alone, I'll look up above. I can only imagine what you're dreaming of. What did you really mean when you said we could try? Was that your gentle way to pass me by? 'Cause it feels just like a dream flowing through my mind. The spaces in between, connected by a line. When I look for you, it seems like I was never left behind. 'Cause in the corner of my eye, you'll always be that star in my sky.
Strong finish.
Thanks.
Damn.
Awesome talk.
Thank you so much, Keith.
7, episode 11.
Season 11, episode 7.
Season 11, episode 7.
It's 7-11.
Thank you all. It's been a blast.
Alright, this one's for Lil Omega. He loves this song. He couldn't be here. I'm gonna fuck this one up for sure, though. This is a new one. This is how we do it. Yeah, I got this. I'm the Harvey Dent of Trenton. Hit me, but you barely put a dent in. I send you to the dentist. My heart breaks, I mend it. Trenton makes the world's pretending. East Coast realism. Send my New Brunswick friends in. You get high, I've ascended. Give me a bond, I bend it. Give me a rule, I break it. The cycle's never ending. I rap tremendous. I rap condescending. I don't believe in the system, but I am the defendant. I want no detention. I get mad attention. An honorable mention. The point of mad contention. Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Heroes for the rentin'. Feeling friendless. High stakes. Fuck a friendship. DKFG, relentless and endless. Stand up against the tempest. My temper, I'm senseless. Nobody's on the guest list. I get shit, you're bested. I use no Smith & Wesson. Used to go to confession. Now I push it down like it was indigestion. The Catholic Church is evil, protecting priests molesting. I take no suggestions. I take indiscretions to the face and eat them.
Shit out raps from digestion.
My style's impressive. Your style's depressing. I always say fuck off, but this time I meant it. Trenton, I'm a resident. Chambersburg, I'm president. Fuck what you believe in and everything you represent. I am now exempt. You ask for strife, it's what you get. My evidence is heaven sent, but hell is where I'm headed next. Sisyphus, 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 666, Sisyphus, 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 Sisyphus. I did better than I thought I would do on that one, so that's a win. That's a win. Awesome talk. DKFG. Thank you guys for having me.
Ready when you're ready.
Big up to Awesome Talk, though, huh?
Ready when you're ready.
I'm ready when I'm ready.
Whenever you want to drop that. Yeah. Like, whenever you want it, you might get it. Don't swan it, you're the next. It's the epic, don't sweat it. Don't forget the kinetic energy flexing. Check how we do it in Belmar from Trenton. I took 95 to the east, the direction. Not to mention everything was flexing. The rain started falling, the beat started calling, and Rob said, you better do that shit that making people just bob head and rock with it, non-stop dropping. Everything is cool, yeah. Don't you assume an assumption, cause I have to switch the function in your face. Come through amazing and leave the whole trail blazing. Everything is cool, we had a discussion about the nation and all the fucking type of shit that's mad and crazed in the installation and the played education and the financial institution, the shit they're producing and the way that they're moving. Keep it cool when I'm cruising. Yeah, my man Matt Rockasset is producing the whole ill material. Yeah, in the morning with the cereal, I bring it back together with material you never heard of. I bring it from the outer galaxies, off of my noggin, yeah. Make a little salary, but it's never enough because the stuff costs too much in this life we live. So what's up? Yeah, straight off the noggin, off the top. That's how we do it with my man Rob when we rock. So yo, I'm about to give a little flex as he takes a little breath and go on to the next. And like back to the dirt, I return, let it burn again. Turn clock back to the boom bap and make them learn. That's how we burn when we rock it in the set. Live and kinetic with edge energy, we flex so they have something to spit with it. We'll spit shit till they split and they spit liquid. Form-fitted lyrical clothes, beats and artistry, not just an addition. It's a part of me. Rock to the rhythm I'm living, I put my heart in it. I'm just a sub in the game, I didn't start in it, but I'ma make a run now. Some way and somehow. 5 consonants, 1 vowel, spin the wheel. I'm so tired of spinning wheels. I don't like division, but I'ma say how I feel. Truth over fiction, regardless of truth's friction. The gaps need bridging like when there's a tooth missing. Who few will listen to such as I backslidden in these days when more and more less of a F's given. Text written, sorted, distorted, a small fortune worth none to some, to others a small fortune. This is a mic check, check that gut. How does it feel? Have you had enough? Awesome Talk season just starting to get warmed up. Yup, like this. It's a mic check, check that gut. How does it feel? Have you had enough? Awesome Talk is just starting to get warmed up. Yup. Peace. Respect. Thanks, y'all.
Hey.
Peace, Rick. Thank you, man.
God, you guys
Rob,
put out
man.
a fucking album.
It's mad fun, yeah.
Hey, this is Rick from Awesome Talk. Why not go grab yourself a beer, because we'll be right back.
How crafty that you guys all share one sense of humor between all of you.
Who's this?
Okay, we're live.
That's why it works so well.
All right. So if we want to reshare it, we're back. We're back. Hold on.
Is that what you do? You reshare?
Let me come
I
back.
tried to share
here.
it the first time. I don't even think it works.
Share now.
It works. It works. Hold on, let me get in there. I know we're live, people, for watching. Hold on 1 second there.
They're like, you just
No
got
help to you, Stones. No help to you. You don't get to fucking. You don't get to make jokes.
Criticize about this?
You don't get to make jokes.
I mean,
you don't get to make any jokes.
He took away your Weird
Yeah.
joke making.
Are we live? What's going on here?
We're live. I'm just sharing the episode. I'm gonna say.
I thought I was being serious.
Oh,
We're
just all like,
live.
yeah, we're going to the phone.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Here we go. All right, that's good. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Awesome Talk, Season 12, Episode 3, on November 12th, 2019. Welcome back to the show. We are live. My bigger concern right now is that my beer has been emptied.
I got you.
How could
Thanks,
that
sir.
happen
This is full right here.
in a world?
That's not my beer.
It could be for the low price.
I don't know. Anyway, we're having a great show tonight, everybody who's watching. There's some people in the chat, new people. Francisco Javier is in the chat.
What's up, new people?
Pat is in the chat. What's up? DJ Alien, man, I love you, dude. I'm so happy to see you there, dude. Nick Dow, yep, dude, we see you, homeboy. Everybody say hi if you are there, because why not? We are here. Hello. And I know that Mac Lahosi, non-fundamentalist juggalo, will be here shortly. And I figure... Thank you, my friend. And I figure now is probably good a time as any to do one more quick around the bar before I get to the next inflammatory topic.
Again with this shit?
Well, my name is Rick, and I fully enjoyed The Mandalorian.
You
Why did
said
you bring
we
it
weren't
back
gonna-
up? We
you
weren't
said-
talking about it.
I just said I liked it. I didn't give anything away.
No, you said you were gonna bring it up.
Is that a car? What is that?
No, it's. Yes.
The
A
Mandalorian.
man's DeLorean.
That's the
Yes.
80s for you to be all
As opposed to
misogynistic.
the woman DeLorean. And when the two mix, they...
The
Make a
woman-
baby DeLorean.
The
Right.
Womandalorian.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Rob. How are you?
Good.
I'm Pat, and I'm still wondering what a Mandalorian is.
Okay.
Great.
It's a
All
Star
right.
Wars show.
I'm Chris, and I'm not paying for Disney Plus.
Ah.
Hey.
I'm stealing it.
Oh,
No.
you
more,
know,
that's respectable.
What the hell is about HBO getting the rights for Sesame Street? Now it's not a free show anymore.
what the
It's
hell
been
deals
that way
with that?
for a long time now.
Has
but
it really
but
been?
the way that they do it is HBO airs it and then PBS airs it like a week later, I think. At least with their 50th anniversary special that just happened, HBO aired it, and then the next weekend PBS
So
would
it
air
still
it.
is free.
I don't
just
know.
a week later.
Well, I don't
Okay,
know
cool. Thank you.
how if PBS handles the everyday episodes, if they still do. But as far as the anniversary episode, they did.
Because wasn't it to teach, like,
Yes.
you know, like...
I'm aware of all
Yeah,
this.
okay.
I
It
100%
sucks.
came here to talk about Sesame Street and nothing else.
I believe it.
It's been bothering me for a while now. Like, what?
No, I agree with you, dude.
know
I
what?
understand
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
feeling. You know, Fred Rogers, he put up a hard fight and he won. God damn it. And just for HBO to swoop in.
Just
Well,
take-
not just
swoop in,
swoop
take
in.
it
They
in.
were
Fred
losing a
Rogers
lot of
is,
money.
the only
Like,
benevolent human
for
being.
PBS probably wouldn't have been able to keep Sesame Street going for that. That's
Yeah.
part of the problem. So I think that it was sort of like, do we put this somewhere where it will be financed, but it'll still exist, or risk that it is gone forever after decades of this legacy?
Yeah.
It's like when Michael Jackson bought the rights to the Beatles in the 80s.
Oof. Yeah, but then he, like, never let anybody do anything with it.
Yeah. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, but they got him back.
Well,
It
yeah.
got better, though.
That's probably why he was killed, you know.
Yeah.
He was killed for the
Beatles.
What a ludicrous conspiracy!
Wow.
Imagine that.
Wow. Let me just say, Beatles music became a little bit more easily attainable
Right.
after Michael Jackson's death. I'm not
Paul
saying
McCartney
anything to
put the hit out on him.
Man, imagine McCartney just fucking
Man,
had
bang,
enough.
bang, Maxwell
You
Silver
think there's
Hammer
not
went down on his
conspiracy
head.
theories like that out
Of
there?
course there are. Of course
This
there
is how
are.
they start, guys.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
Hey, Carl Cowan's in the chat. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man.
I do not support any comments that I make tonight.
Wait, you can't say your own shit.
I do not approve.
I do not approve anything that I say.
Wow.
This is not sponsored content.
We're here for
So what's your
Soraya's in the chat.
what's your inflammatory topic?
Well, I don't know if it's inflammatory exactly, but there was something that I did want to bring up. Because I don't know if it's going to resonate with you guys or not. But 25 years ago today, that guy Pedro from The Real World and MTV died.
of AIDS.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Pedro. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
And I posted about it
Wow.
on our page because I said that it was
time ago.
that a guy like him was probably beneficial for our generation. So when we talk about the responsibility to the public, if you're an influence, right? He put his story and what was
On
happening with him
purpose.
out in the open on MTV. And even if you didn't watch the show, because I didn't watch the show, you still knew him and you knew what the fuck was going on with him. Because AIDS in the 80s was grossly
wasn't the
mischaracterized.
Yeah.
That's right.
Misconceptions.
He was one of the people in the 90s that came along very early that showed people the reality of what was going on.
Right.
So in terms of people who are in the public eye, who make an impact on an entire generation, I feel like that guy was one of those people.
Did you get a negative reaction, or was it?
No, so far it's been mostly positive.
That's actually.
I only remember him and Puck.
And Puck,
And
yeah, I remember
Puck,
Puck.
yeah.
That's it. I
do
don't
not
anybody
remember
else from like
any
back
of it.
in the day. I have no idea.
That was like the.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
You don't remember Pedro from Real World?
No.
So back in the very early 90s, he was on The Real World on MTV, which is like a reality
California.
No, I
right?
get it all
Like the
now.
Real
I
World.
got brought up to
California.
speed, but I was
I'm pretty
aware of the
sure-
real
Is that the
world.
one
Sure.
The first one or the
I
second
didn't
one?
know
or something?
enough about it to know if there was
it
a
was
guy.
the first
and-
season. He was gay. He had a black boyfriend, and he was dying of AIDS.
AIDS, yeah.
And the reason why it was such a big deal was because it was supposed to be, a real living situation.
Right.
And it was a time period where people were scared to even be in the same room with someone with AIDS
Right.
and
Right.
worry about catching it.
Right.
And then
Right.
you had a guy living with 6 other people, using the same bathrooms, using the same fucking kitchen,
Right.
and
And
they're all
just
fine.
showing that
At a
they're
t-
Yeah, but I'd
normal
rather
and alive.
I'd rather have that than Sesame Street trailblazing down the dark paths, fucking for sure.
You know
what,
what?
like
though?
like a
Like their
AIDS
heroin,
Muppet
their
or
no,
something?
their heroin episode.
If you-
fucking.
if
I,
you wanna be honest,
no, every dude, the Sesame Street episodes that deal with shit like that are great.
That's true.
They're
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
great.
Go,
They're,
what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, if you want to be honest, like even now, knowing what I know about AIDS, I was doing a job and I was in the elevator with this guy who was on the phone, and he was having this conversation, and he was talking about, and at the end of the conversation, I don't even know what he was talking about, but at the end, he was like, and my AIDS and this and that, and I was like, oh, he has AIDS, and he was, because I looked at him and he looked like he was like going out the door.
Wow.
And in the back of my mind, I didn't like, I was pressing buttons with my elbow afterwards, even knowing that I'm not gonna get it just by pressing the button, but like,
It was irrational.
yeah, it was an irrational thing, but even still, I'm like, no, I'm not taking any chances. Like, that's a hard thing to get past. Like, knowing that there's a dude with AIDS right next to you in the same elevator, knowing that you can't get it, but still, it's like,
Because of the way that it's been put,
just AIDS in general.
The way it's
that's
been
a,
put
such
out
a
there,
serious
it's
fucking
been
thing.
put out there like a
the
plague,
weird thing
right.
is that
When
our
was this?
generation is the last generation
was a
to
couple
have
years
that
ago.
level of freaked outness over it, because now AIDS is for the HIV for the most part is much easier to keep at a decent level.
I
in
had
your body.
I had an ER.
It's hard
I
to
had
get
an ER
past that
freak
mental
out.
one at a
thing,
time.
though.
I had an emergency
Compared
room.
to what it was in the 90s, the drugs are able to keep it more under control, and in some cases have eradicated it from people's systems. In the 90s, that wasn't the case. So the generation after us, that level of like hyper awareness,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist
It doesn't
the way it
exist
does for
anymore, yeah.
us.
Right,
because
right. Because
grew
we
up-
the,
we
because the
we grew up with the
treatments
scare of
have
it.
The
Like,
changed
scare.
yeah,
It was
it
the
was-
scare,
it was the
right?
fucking
Yeah.
So let me tell you a
Yeah.
story.
Go
Let me
ahead.
tell you a story about an ER. When I was driving the ambulance, I had a patient that had AIDS, and he was supposed to get transferred up to Newark because Newark is a hospital that handles AIDS patients very well. This guy was like more like end stage, bad AIDS, like had it for a while, but he was in bad way. But his vital signs were justified enough for us as a crew to, one, call medics that couldn't meet up with us, and then two, put the lights and sirens on and go to the nearest hospital, which will remain nameless for this story. But when I got into the hospital, the doctor like chewed us out for not transferring this patient to the Newark hospital that could handle his situation way better than they could. Meanwhile, I'm like, bro, I can give this guy oxygen, and this guy's dying on my fucking gurney right now. Like,
Holy
you gotta get this
shit,
fucking
dude.
guy away from me. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not trained for this level shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even an AIDS. It was strictly the numbers, the small sets of numbers that they give to EMTs, because it's only 3 months of school to be an EMT.
Right.
So the small sets of numbers were like outside of those ranges, and it was just like, well, I'm not letting this guy die in my truck.
Yeah.
Like this is, I gotta get him,
that.
fucking close.
Yeah.
And I got shit for it. So
Right.
that's the way even some medical staff
Man.
truly feel about the situation.
Sure.
It's super shitty to fucking have that
Yeah.
as a realization.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a hard
just the
psychological thing to get
testing,
past.
It requires special teams.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just go to a doctor like a you
can't just
you
get
can't
lab
just
work
go
done.
to a hospital and
they're
say
like,
I
"Oh,
need an
AIDS."
AIDS test. That doesn't happen.
Right.
They have
Yeah,
to
the
call
whole
in a
team comes
special
in, yeah.
AIDS team to do the test. So
Right.
you might be
That's
waiting
right.
there.
They're wearing like
for a long
suits and
time.
shit.
That's right.
Like,
Yeah.
like hazmat suits.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, no, AIDS is fine. Don't worry about it. And they're like enclosed. You
I've
know,
been
like-
HIV tested recently.
You were? Some blood. They're like fucking.
It's pretty
You don't want to
simple
go
now.
down this
It's like
road.
they
Yeah, nowadays it is, yeah.
Oh, HIV test.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Project Real does it right over in Asbury
yeah.
Park.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do the rapid HIV testing. It's like they do it for free for anybody who goes in.
Yeah.
They do like double the amount of every other
Sure.
station like them in the whole state.
But I remember when that was. I mean, when you picture in your head, you picture that Dare. all
Sure.
kinds- you know, like
Yeah.
the big awareness of everything that was like out there. I don't think there's a lot of that these days.
No.
I don't think there's a lot of.
I think it goes back to what Sarah was saying. It's we're educated now.
The treatments are so
Yeah.
different that the disease is
It's
portrayed
almost an
differently.
eye,
But what I mean
It's
is,
portrayed as treatable.
It's like manageable.
well, what I
yeah.
mean by awareness is that it's not like outside of the truth movement to get people to stop smoking cigarettes. Everything now isn't an issue that's brought up health concern wise unless it's part of a pharmaceutical company offering the solution to it on
Right.
television.
Well, it's
There
also
are like there were blatant ads against drugs and there were
Sure.
blatant ads against certain diseases where there wasn't something being sold to fix it. It was
Yeah.
you could get this, buy this. Here's the facts on how to not get this stuff.
Well, let's also be clear, okay? HIV, the scare was really homophobia in the beginning.
Yep.
Yes, and it was also
that
a
was
drug
a big part
addict
of it.
shaming.
You know, it was
Right.
like,
because the
Right,
narrative
exactly.
in
Sharing
the 1980s
needles,
was
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
you're not an
Sharing
intravenous
yeah.
drug user or
Yeah, heroin.
then
Yep.
you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
and
like,
it's like,
what?
oh no, yeah, we
No.
all have such. You know what's
No.
fucked up? I can remember being a little kid and actually going, "How does the disease know?"
I'm using
Any
the
of
needle
that.
Yeah,
instead
we
of
Like, how does it like I don't understand how it knows you're gay.
You were a
Like,
kid and you knew
and I was a
that,
kid
yeah.
and I knew that.
We were
right?
kids when Philadelphia came out. That movie.
Yes, Tom Hanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
it's
So,
so, wild how
so
many
you know
things
what?
I learned from watching movies like that.
Yeah.
But three
that
things.
stayed with me.
That was crazy. That
Three things happened that were important. Philadelphia happened, Pedro happened, and Magic Johnson happened.
All in the mid-90s pocket right there.
And it changed the narrative because
But
that
Magic
narrative
Johnson's
about
the only
if you're
one
not
that's
a
okay.
heroin addict and you're not a
He's the only one
homosexual,
that still go around.
You're
that
safe,
shit
but-
changed
Mhm.
really hard when those three things
Right.
hit, man.
Yeah,
Think about
for sure.
that. Think about the fact that somebody could put that narrative out there and people just.
Yeah, have succumbed to it. They're like,
Right.
yeah, let me subscribe to
I
this
wrote
shit.
an article
Yeah,
about
it's fucking
Lyme
nuts,
disease
man.
a few years ago, and I had to study AIDS in the 1980s. And the amount of people in the mid-1980s that thought that if you had AIDS, you should carry a card with you,
Oh my
an
God.
identification card. It was like 70% of Americans thought that.
I think
that's what
it's
that
actually
narrative
against
did.
the law.
That went on into the 90s because I can
Yeah.
remember.
Violation.
That's against
that
the law
being
if you
a
don't tell
conversation.
somebody that you have HIV or whatever, and,
Right.
and you give it to them like on purpose,
Right,
willingly, like
Sure.
knowingly.
Oh, that's a lawsuit.
Dude,
That's
it's
a
a
big time.
homicide.
Yeah, but here's
It's
the
a
thing with
homicide.
that.
It's a
That
crime.
should be a fucking lawsuit, not for HIV, for any disease. If you have a disease and you know it and you
Right.
give it to someone
If you
and don't
purposely give somebody herpes,
and like people,
that's
yeah, like
fucked
I've
up.
heard
That's
that
fucked up,
argument.
dude.
They're like,
I
yeah,
don't
but
think that's
why does
a-
it matter? Why is that fucked up? It's
Because
just
you ruined
herpes, it's
somebody's
just-
life.
But here's the
Yeah.
thing: it's
Because
not
you're an
just
idiot.
because of that.
Like,
It's
what the
because
fuck?
it's the same argument I have with people
Selfish
that are like,
prick.
well, I had the flu, but I had to go to work. You know, sorry. And it's like, no, fuck you, dude. I have a compromised immune system, and I know a lot of people with way more compromised immune systems. So if you give someone just willy nilly, it's just fucking herpes, and you
Yeah.
think it's
Oh,
all
it's
cool.
only
And no,
herpes.
maybe it was all cool for you, but you
Right.
don't know if they could fucking die from this virus because they have some other shit that you don't know about. Like,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah,
a
seriously,
fucking
it's fucked
lawsuit,
up.
in my opinion.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
And then you got bug catchers that are trying to get this shit. Like
What?
You never heard of that?
Never heard of the bug catchers?
Bug
Yeah,
catchers.
bug catchers, man.
It's serious. It's disgusting.
Not just an electric.
It's terrible.
Oh, what?
It's
What?
terrible.
It's on
I don't
anymore.
even want to think
I'm
about
not
it.
the only one who knows what he's talking about. You don't either?
I don't even wanna
That makes
think
me feel
about
better.
What the what?
It's bug catchers. They try to catch viruses. They like have parties.
The phrase is too catchy for me to not believe him right now.
Oh, chickenpox.
Right?
That's a
Like,
bug
that's
catcher.
the way he made that
I
up.
feel like we could be in a band with an upright bass
The
and a
bug catchers?
trombone.
Look it up,
and be
man.
called
It's some sick shit.
The bug catchers.
It's some sick shit, man.
What's the purpose of it?
To get diseases.
Like
For what?
like
To be like
chickenpox.
Rant and the
Chickenpox
Chuck Palahniuk
is
song.
considered
Man,
a.
I can't relate
That's as
to
far
it.
as you got?
I can't. I can't.
It's okay. You're not responsible.
I tried to relate. I tried to like think of why they would want to do this,
People do
and I
give
couldn't
kids
come up with it.
Chickenpox on purpose. That's
Yeah.
a real thing.
Yeah.
That's been going
That's
on for
considered
decades.
one of those.
Yeah.
things.
That's a little
But that's not like
Yeah.
a sexual thing. These people are doing it.
Well, you don't know how they're giving them chickenpox.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
These people are like fucking. There's any fucked up
She's
thing
allowed
they
to
can
leave
think
it
of,
at that.
there's somebody out there doing it.
That was a mic
Dude,
drop.
wait, you don't get to walk out of the room.
Leave me here.
She just left. She,
By the way, my Uncle Wayne is in the chat. He's always
Uncle
pissed off
Wayne.
that I never had Budweiser. He only drinks Budweiser.
Red and white
Bud.
sandwiches.
He drinks Budweiser and
Oh, he's
Pepsi.
talking about. Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah. St. Paul was Jesus, and it was self-fulfilling prophecy around 68 AD. Fuck Big Pharma.
What?
I don't know.
What?
Yet
Oh,
Native Americans.
That guy commented one of my lyrics before. Who is that? Carl Callen?
Carl Callen.
Hi,
Yeah.
Carl.
He's a comedian from Long Branch. He was on the show. He was on the season finale of season 11.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Hi, Carl. What you got? Hi.
Anna, it says in the chat, yet Native Americans have to carry ID saying they're never. That's true. I went to a lecture
Well,
once.
That's like a secret club card, though.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's a
very-
federal thing.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
went to there was a
Shit,
lecture
hard.
by a guy named
Fuck
Santos
off.
Hawksblood. He's full-blood Apache Indian.
Let's go.
And he like appears in movies and stuff because it's hard to find people who are actually fucking
Like a
Native
diplomat.
Americans.
at
Yeah,
that
what they
point.
actually
So-
fucking do is they hire Mexican people to play Native Americans
That's
Or
true.
Italians.
instead
Or Chinese
of choosing.
people.
Right.
They do that with Chinese people
There
too.
are a lot of Native American actors, and they pick Mexican actors over them a lot of the time.
Right.
That is a real thing that happens often.
Martial
It's
arts
fucked
movies
up.
are filled
So
with
I'm
Mexicans.
so I'm at the lecture, and the guy is giving a lecture about what it means to be Native American in modern day America, and he says, he goes, we have to carry a card that says what percentage of our blood is Native American, and people are like, what the fuck? And he pulls a fucking card out of his wallet and says what percentage of him is Apache, and a guy in the audience is
100%.
Blackfoot Indian. And the guy stands up and he goes, "It's true." And he pulls out his wallet and he pulls out a fucking card.
You don't have to though. You
He
don't
said
have
it was
to.
law.
But you no, you don't.
Wait a minute.
No, you don't have
Here's-
to. But you get like
It's called a wampum card.
you get
No,
you get
it's not.
certain
It's even worse.
privileges.
It's called the fucking
You get
waffle
certain
card.
things because you have that card though.
That's fucking.
Okay, maybe.
Wait, hold
Yeah,
on. hold
that's
on.
why.
You know
That's
better than
why.
anyone,
Hold on
but
a
that's a
fucking
tracking
second.
system.
No,
All right,
It's a
no.
tracking
Hold
system.
on a
Pretty
second.
much.
Can you please define? Is it
Wampum.
actually called a wampum
I
card,
believe
or
they
is
said
that
a
like
wampum
the
card.
street
Yeah,
name
slang.
it's a
for it?
street
Right?
name.
That's
Right.
it.
Because that
I
sounds
swear
like
to
some.
God, he said wampum.
That sounds like some outlandish. No.
It
Go
probably
fucking.
is a
Somebody
street
search that
Somebody
shit.
Google
No
wampum card.
fucking
There's a
chance.
difference between
You don't have to Google that. That's
fucking
slang.
I
chance.
I'm taking it
swear
at face
to
value.
God.
Hold on.
No,
Hold the
it's
fuck
true.
on.
It's probably slang.
It has to
I
be.
mean, it absolutely. Our government's not
No
fucking
chance.
printing
No
it on the back of the
Right, right.
I'm sorry.
The government who
need
publishes the
clarification on that.
Patriot Act wouldn't come up with wampum
We all believe
card.
that they're gonna do the
Give me
percentage
the
of the
fuck
blood.
You gotta
one.
say it.
That's perfect.
You gotta like say it like all stern and shit.
I believe 100% you heard that, as far as you know.
I have had
You made
8
that
or
up,
9
didn't you?
beers
You
this
made
year.
that
Yeah,
wampum
yeah.
card up, didn't you?
No, I definitely didn't make it up.
No
I
one
swear to
searched that
God.
shit. No one looked it up.
No, I don't want to. I'm here. I'm here.
I live in the moment.
Yeah, you're all on my Wi-Fi at the
That's in
moment.
the past. Fuck that.
Fuck off that.
Wait,
For fuck's sake.
Wampum card.
Can I-
Carl
hold on.
Callen is awesome right now.
I know,
He's like,
he's the man, dude.
I don't know. Do I know? This
Rockwell rocks. Love all y'all at
Back
Awesome
to
Talk.
Babylon's this one of my
Back to
songs.
back. Back to Babylon.
Carl. You're awesome.
I had an uncle who once convinced me we were 100%.
Muncie?
Then
he goes, nah.
Algonquin.
And they go, nah, I'm fucking with you.
It's called a blood quantum. So that
Wow, you really fucked that one up, Rick.
Wampum and quantum sound alike, at least. Come on.
I don't think quantum has to do with blood.
I think wampum is like the racist version of quantum, though.
Is that what it is? Is that the racist version?
I thought wampum.
That's the racist version.
Jesus
No,
Christ.
Remember that show Quantum Leap? Imagine it was Wampum Leap. Let's keep it in Wampum Leap.
Hey, Mac LaHosie's here. And I'm going to tell you guys what. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut to our second break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Chris Rockwell. You know what? How about this?
No.
What?
Because then we have to make him uncomfortably stand and answer and talk about.
Okay, so we'll do it right now.
What do you mean?
Well, because we have to switch all the cameras over.
I've been
and then
uncomfortable the whole night.
That's a good
I can
point.
tell.
Yeah, let's talk to him now. Then.
So,
I'm down with whatever.
okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting question I got on Instagram. So I put on my Instagram, ask me questions and we'll answer them on the air.
Sure.
So the most interesting one was, would you rather be able to see a week into the future or be able to hear people's thoughts?
Can you turn it on and off?
Yeah, can you control whose thoughts you're hearing?
Because that would be.
Sarah, I read you all the information.
Well, that's like a game changer.
Wait, let's
though.
extrapolate.
How long? I mean, do you see every week?
Like everybody?
Forever?
He just
Like,
told you he gave you all the
like
information.
Mondays. Maybe on
Yeah, like is
Future
there
Fridays.
Like,
You get like
no, like is it
Future
Friday?
Friday!
Is
I
it
get
Friday
like-
at 6 o'clock where you like lay down and you're like
I
the
get
whole
to see till
fucking
the
week
next
looks
Friday
like
at 6 o'clock.
Nah.
And you only get
And
to
what was the
remember
other
it
option?
one. Yeah, I mean,
You're only seeing that moment
What
a
is
week
it?
ahead of time.
Hi, Mac LaHosie.
Oh,
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
What's up?
I'd way rather hear people's thoughts.
I
No,
would
that's
You see,
fuck
wait,
that.
you see
Not
a week
one
ahead
of
of
your
time,
people.
you're just
I
laying
don't
in
wanna hear
bed.
people's
Like,
thoughts.
I don't want to know the
100%
future.
would rather look in the future for
Yeah,
a
I'd
week.
hate to.
Really?
I'd hate to
Not
see the
because-
future and think I
do
was making
not want to
different
hear
choices.
Stones'
to try and
thoughts.
get
That's
away
why.
from it.
It's not because I want to see the future so bad.
It's 'cause
It's
you
because
don't
I don't
wanna
want this
hear
weird
Stones'
Mel
thoughts.
Gibson power from What Women Want, where I hear what people are thinking around.
No, but can you turn it off?
That is weird.
That's what I want
That's
to
the
know.
thing. Can you turn it off?
That's
Can I be like,
We're
I want to
making
know
this shit
your
up as
thoughts?
we
What
go.
if you don't?
Yes
But what
or
if you
no?
just see
What
in
the hell am I
future, you're just
seeing
like
in the
laying
future?
there and you're like doing nothing?
Yeah, it's a Professor X
Like,
shit.
like
wait,
wait,
no,
wait,
what?
I'm just sitting in a
Imagine
chair,
that.
like,
Imagine
Do I
a
get-
week in the
do I get the
future,
guest lottery
when
numbers?
all I'm doing is laying
you're
around
looking at the
looking
future. Yeah, you're sitting there looking at the future again.
You're
like,
constantly like, tomorro's Tuesday. I gotta look at the future at 6 o'clock.
yeah, and then
right.
you're still
I gotta know what I
in the
didn't
future,
see
you just-
yesterday.
It's like the reverse Truman Show. Like you have to look at yourself.
You're just always watching yourself.
But no one else is.
You can only
You
see
become
1
paralyzed
week from the
with
day.
fear.
What if it's like cylindrical? Like it's like
What if it's what?
cylindrical.
What if
Cylindrical.
Calendrical.
Not since Rickens we had such a colossal fuck up as that. Not since Lanier have we had someone mispronounce a word so fully and heartily. Because he calls linear, and you call cylindrical, calendrical.
You call a plop, a plop.
Hold on.
Yeah, he made that shit up and thought it was going to catch
He
on.
made it up wrong.
But I
He
wasn't
thought
talking
it
about
was gonna
cylinders.
catch on.
I was actually talking about cylindrical, like on a calendar.
Calendrical.
Oh, like calendar.
Calendaric?
Cylindrical. Calendrically. It's
Calendrically. Not chronologically, calendrically.
This conversation's not going into linear.
I feel like a bigger asshole because I knew what he was talking about.
This is an unlinear conversation.
Calendrically.
Well, I think we answered that question.
It's cylindrical.
Calendrical, yeah, that's the
Anyway.
Answer that question.
So let's talk about music, Chris Rockwell, and poetry. Let's talk about what you have
Shall
going
we?
on.
I got stuff. I brought flyers. I made an album about hanging out in diners.
Okay.
We've all done that here.
Yeah.
If
Made
we have
albums
viewers
about it? For
outside of New
relatable
Jersey,
content.
they'll probably be like, what are they? That's what they do there.
Calendrical
Yes.
is a real word.
The answer is yes.
Merriam-Webster, bitch.
Of relating to characteristic of or used in a calendar, calendrical.
You didn't know what he was talking about.
I mean, I got what he meant.
I don't know if it was the right
Cylindrical.
context, but there's
Like,
definitely a word.
I can't
there.
go back.
Cylinder.
But luckily
There's
we
definitely a
filmed it.
word.
I was just so impressed that you had that accessible.
In my vocabulary?
Yeah.
I talk about dates all day. That's all I talk about. So
That's true.
what
So
the
you're a
fuck was the
cylindrical
topic
guy.
of the conversation?
I mean, if you
You
really
know,
boil
come
it
on.
down,
No, what was it
all you
before
do
we got
is
the
talk
cylindrical?
about dates all day.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
As
what
a
is that
dating
for
style.
Oh,
Oh,
wait.
wait.
calendar,
So,
though.
can we go back to my original thought now that I've been mocked and proved
Fine.
myself
Yes.
free of all
Dude,
mocking?
you just blew my
No,
mind to
you
think
mispronounced
about your
it the
job
first
that
time
way.
you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
but all I talk about is memorized dates consistently.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but
in
is
this
that-
era,
It's a
this
crazy
happened.
way to look at
Everything in my
how
life
you
is
do
timelines.
things.
Yeah, but
Everything
is
in
the
my life is
timeline
timelines.
calendrical?
Yes, month to month. It's like
Or even day to day or week to
It
week.
seems like calendrical is
So
a
you would
specific
wanna hear
one
people's
like
thoughts?
type of
no,
thing.
no. All the way back to my question
Not
was:
just the.
do we only hear a week ahead, right? Do we only see and hear a week ahead to the day that we're thinking about? It?
Yeah.
So
Or
if
the
it's
whole
Monday,
week.
do I only see next Monday, or do I see the whole week
Yeah,
on
like
a certain day?
Do you just see the minute that you're at a week ahead
Because
of time?
the option is so specific. The option is so
Because you might just be
specific.
sitting there doing
Can
nothing.
you see a week? I get to
Right.
see a week in advance, or I get to look at a person and go, "That's what you're fucking thinking."
You don't want
right
to know
now.
what
No,
You
I.
see-
What are you
You
fucking
see what
kidding
people
me?
do now?
Are
You see what people
you
do?
look
I
at-
don't want
They
either
might
power.
be thinking the most.
kidding me?
Yeah,
I
No,
don't know.
somebody
What
questions everything to death.
What?
What if you look at your parents and they're
I guess
thinking
I'm
the
gonna
most
read
fucked
minds
up
now.
weird
Fine.
shit at?
That's
okay.
Because
fine.
this sounds like it sucks.
What?
That's fine.
It's fine, and you
It
can't
does
turn it
I
off.
want it. I want to go.
Oh.
I want to look at everybody and be like,
What if your dad was like, "Oh, I want to fuck that kid"?
That's the thing. I don't want
like
to
you want to hear
that.
that?
I 100% am looking in the future. I don't want to know what anybody else is
Me
thinking
neither,
around me.
man.
but
Fuck
just
them.
you
Monday
just-
to
I
Monday.
already can figure
The mind
it out
just
too easily.
does
Go
Yeah.
to
fucked
Facebook
up
and
shit
you're
all day
embarrassed
long.
enough about the world.
All day
God
long,
damn
you
right.
hear fucked up shit in my own head. You know, like why would I want to hear it? Somebody else's fucked up shit.
Seriously.
Chris Rockwell.
Yes.
Here's what I want to ask you.
Okay, ask
Here's
me.
what I want to talk about.
All right. let's talk about
Was
it.
it last year at the Asbury Music Awards? You wrote a piece or published a piece about hip hop at the Asbury Music Awards and how it was missing.
It was April of 2018.
I would like you to talk about that.
What would you like to know?
I would like to know what sparked it because it was quite a big move because you were supposed to host the award show that year
No.
or appear or you were nominated or...
I was nominated.
Okay.
I was nominated, but it had been. I want to preface this because we were talking about this earlier.
Little bit.
That I always felt the worst because the people who took the brunt of that, that whole scenario, were probably the least guilty of the thing.
Can you explain to people in
Okay, so,
present
all right,
who, might,
so-
who might not understand what exactly we're talking about?
So, last year I said that I wasn't going to go to the Asbury Music Awards. I said the reason being that I thought it was like pretty categorically white, and it being that it's an Asbury Park event, and Asbury Park is not predominantly a white city, it wasn't accurately representing, you know, the population, and it's always tough. Like we are all aware of the gentrification going on, and that's
Sure.
hard enough, and people want to be heard, and this is an opportunity. That's a community event. You know, it's some people are like, it's bullshit. I'm like, it doesn't have to be. It could be a real important thing for our neighborhood, for our community, and if that's all it ever is, that's enough. You know, for us to just recognize and celebrate each other in our little corner of the world. That's cool, but we have to do it right. We have to do it accurately. You know, and it really wasn't any one venue or one promoter or it's everybody. Something like that happens where they put out an awards category that's funk and soul and R&B, and there's like a bunch of rappers in it. It's not really fair to the rappers.
Right.
It's not really fair to the people who actually are funk or soul or
Right.
R&B either, because they're, you know,
competing with a bunch of rappers. Yeah.
right, exactly. And I was just like, it can't be about hip hop music.
It illustrates a lack of care toward an entire genre from people who are making these choices.
Yeah, but a
too.
demographic. Oh, okay, yes.
You know
I mean, like a
what I'm saying?
demographic too. Like you can't be complaining about like some. Here's the most common things when you go, why aren't you booking rap or whatever? They go, they bring drugs in. I'm like, oh, okay. There's a venue in Asbury Park that doesn't have drugs in it. Like, all right, moving on. And like, might bring weapons, and I'm like, I've seen that in here most of these clubs anyway. So like, if that's really like your concerns are still happening and not being addressed. That can't really be it.
Right.
It's got to be
They're just
something
not
else.
acknowledging it in the other genre.
Right, when they say when they say they don't like the element that it brings in, what the only thing left for me to extrapolate from that is, oh, they don't like black people.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
That's what
otherwise,
it is.
it's like otherwise tell me if
That's
I'm wrong.
what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it takes a whole community to let something like that happen.
Yeah.
Right. It takes all of us, and and in that I included myself. Because I think that I needed to do more. Because
Why did you think you had to be the one to step up and take responsibility for that in the way that you did?
We all have to. I mean,
and that was a big move, man. Like we knew about. I told him, and he was like, "Oh, like we all knew. All of us read that. All of us knew that, dude."
Because I was
your article and conversations about local music.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, it's true.
It was first of all I was in the category. And as a white person in hip hop, I feel like I'm a guest in a predominantly black culture. Because hip hop and punk rock are really the two main genres of music that are bigger than a genre of music. There's a whole culture that goes with it
now too, which is really sweet,
you know what I'm
by the
saying?
way,
Like there's a certain inherent rebellion in both of them.
Correct.
They both came from the same place, even though they were from different demographics. Like and they both are bigger than music.
Yeah.
It's your fashion, it's your speech, it's your message, it's the movement. It's not just music. And for me to be a white person in a predominantly black culture like that, I have to make sure that I'm doing it responsibly, because if I'm not, I'm taking and I'm not adding. And I don't want to be that person who's just one of those culture vultures who takes, and then leaves, the rest high and dry. And because I'm privileged, because I will have more of a benefit when I do that. It's going to be easier for me. And I felt responsible for that because I do have like that certain level of privilege. So what good is your privilege if you're not using it to help people who don't have it?
I like that you practice what you preach.
I try to.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even if everybody doesn't entirely agree with everything that we're talking about tonight, the fact of the matter is you hold entertainers and people who have the spotlight to a higher standard. And I do feel like that you did your best to hold yourself to that higher standard as well.
Yeah, so I going into 2018, I'm not really one for New Year's resolutions. I'm not usually that guy. Usually I do it backwards. I go, what's the thing I learned from last year? And I try and have a lesson that I take with me into the next year.
Right.
But 2018 was like the first time in a long time I had a resolution, and it was like no more all white shows. And I was like, in any genre, I feel like we can put together a show that's not all white.
Right.
And I don't think we have to tokenize anyone. I think we should just try harder to find those acts and give them the stage time.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Do you think that's because they just don't like it? Or is it like...
Who's they?
No, like either side. Like you say, just all white. Like anybody else. Do you think it's because everybody else just doesn't like it, or is it because you're only targeting that audience when you advertise and when you market the show, or what? Why do you think it's only an all-white audience that's showing up?
An audience or performers?
Me?
Yeah, I thought
I'm talking
about the audience.
No, I'm talking about performers. I'm
okay.
The show.
Oh, okay.
No, not the audience. I mean, the goal.
Yeah, because I was like, how is that?
The goal is to have everybody
Right,
show
but whoever
up.
the fuck shows up, but it's two people or fucking
Yeah,
thousand
like,
people,
yeah, I
whoever
was
shows
like,
up, shows
yeah,
up.
Right, that's
okay,
not on me. I have no control over that.
Right, exactly.
Right. So what do I have
Exactly.
control
Okay,
over?
I was
I have
thinking
control
something else
over who
there.
I'm sharing the bill with.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Because
Very cool.
I know what the opposing... Because unfortunately there is an opposing side to what you're saying. And what the canned answer that I get from that side is, and I'm not trying to be insulting to that side because I'd rather try to say something that's going to... What would you say to somebody who says that when you say that, it's either white guilt or you're pandering to an audience or a time by saying that, by saying, I won't play a show that's all white. How do you respond to somebody who says something like that to you in a way that you think is constructive to help them understand that?
Well, usually people who are saying something like that aren't doing anything, so
definitely.
I don't really have to factor that into what I'm doing. Also, I mean,
but do you want to change minds? Do you want to take somebody who thinks like that and say, hold on, I want you to...
That's not my goal.
Okay.
The goal is to provide to lend my privilege out and do what I can to help historically disenfranchised communities. I'm not here to explain shit to you
Bring
or
different
you.
cultures together. It's,
Exactly.
Different family groups, different people that grew up with each other.
Bring them all in
them
together. That's the goal. That's the goal, to diversify.
Right, that's it.
Because that's
Not
like
a
what we
bad
were saying
goal.
earlier. Eventually, hopefully, we don't need to worry about this shit anymore.
Right.
We don't have to worry about it anymore.
But that's the answer. The answer is that the hope is that things become so
we normalize
blended
this.
and normalized
We normalize the
that
diversity.
you don't have to answer that.
Right.
Because I feel like that's the right answer. To
People
somebody who
think it's
says that.
performative a lot, but first of all, it's tough because I do want this conversation to happen even when I'm not involved with it. Let people have these conversations. I feel like sometimes I want to say, some days I want to say, I don't owe anybody a fucking explanation for anything I do.
That too, yeah.
I gotta do what I feel is right with my own moral compass and live my fucking life and answer to myself every single day.
Right.
I don't have to explain shit to anyone. But the other side, some days I'm like, I really probably should try and explain some things because people will get the wrong idea, and I don't want to create like opposition, or I don't want to have people being defensive and saying like, that's not me, I'm not this, I'm not that. You know, like the goal is to encourage people to do that, right? So I've kind of like in both of those, like I have to say that I do a lot that no one knows about to check myself and make sure that I'm not doing it in a performative manner. So people have no idea that I might design this poster for that person's show for free, or help this person get in contact with that venue that wasn't maybe answering their emails and vouching for someone.
Right.
Or anything like that, you know, or yeah, I'll host your show, or I'll do this, or whatever I can do. It's less actually like the hosting thing. It's more about the things that are behind the scenes that people don't really know about, and it's not even just the Black community either. I'm trying to do that, like even for the LGBTQ community. What can I lend to myself? And if I'm like, look, you don't have to give me any credit, just do the thing. I'm not going to say anything because otherwise it defeats the purpose.
Right.
Definitely.
So part of it is like people saying I'm being performative, and it's like, well, I have to just suck it up sometimes and let them think what they're going to think.
Right.
Because there's nothing I could do about that. They're going to make up their own things in their head, and I just have to do the best I can do within myself, you know?
Sure.
So the key is for me to make sure I do things that are not performative. Deliberately do things that are under the radar that no one knows about. And that kind of like checks off the boxes.
Like I said, I feel like you take responsibility for the things that you say, that, you know, the standard that you hold people to.
And it's for the white guilt thing. That definitely happened.
Yeah.
The white guilt happened. It was a wave. It was probably like I felt that in like 2015. You know what happened? I tell the story sometimes. I was hosting an open mic, and I was like, I'm going to wear the I put something on Facebook to the effect of like, I'm going to wear this ugly sweater today or whatever, an open mic night tonight, because someone said they had the ugliest sweater and it's an ugly whatever. So I that was in the morning. By the evening, I forgot that I even put that on Facebook, and a bunch of people were wearing like sweaters like, I thought you were going to do the thing, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. And they're like, what the hell? And I was like, I had a moment where I was like, wow, I didn't really think that many people were paying attention to what the fuck I said. It kind of fucked with me a little bit. I was like, are they listening to every fucking thing I said all the time?
He's like looking out the window.
What is going on? Shit. Yeah, but like, it made it in a, you know, not such a serious situation. It made something pretty real for me, which is like, people listen to me.
Right.
People listen to what I'm saying, which means I'm now responsible for that.
Right.
You know, you have to take responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility if people are following you like that. You know?
Yeah, and we know what we're doing when we're out there. You've been there. You're trying to get a following. You're trying to get people to listen to you. You're trying.
Sure.
And then it happens, and then what? And they're listening to you.
Yeah,
you actually get what you wish for, right? Yeah,
and then you go,
like,
okay, now what do I do with this?
Exactly.
Right.
And
Yep,
I'm like,
that's
I don't want to do like fuck shit.
That's
it was
right.
easier. Like it was so easy, like to not give a shit and just let it rip on stage and talk about all kinds of shit and not care at all. That was easy.
I know.
There was huge crowds then. When I started saying some shit that people pissing people off, my crowd shrunk. People started unfollowing me, unfriending me.
Well, it goes kind of like this.
Blocking
it sucks
me.
in, comes out,
So let me ask you, what kind of material was it that did that?
As far as
why did people start to react that way?
Well, it was like the whole Jesus thing before. Like once I started like really getting the hang of it, I was just talking about it all the time and being very outspoken about it. I probably didn't need to be like I'm not really as much anymore because now I have found actions that accomplish that without me just talking about it on Facebook all the time.
Right.
But then like in 2016, the Rockwell Rebel Radio record that we did had a lot of more political points and had a little bit the
And that
subject
pissed
matter
people
got
off
realer.
immediately.
Yeah, the subject matter got realer. Like we're talking about, when we were writing those songs, Trump wasn't president yet, and then all of a sudden, but we were talking about, like, we got a racist running for office. We were talking about, Islamophobia on that record, but we were also talking about like addressing things like date rape and depression, and a lot of the songs sounded like party songs, so people were like all into it until they started listening to the records and picking up the lyrics and going, oh, there's some real shit on here. But that's kind of what we wanted, the spoonful of sugar effect,
So you have a new record coming out.
Yes,
new album.
December 8th.
Talk about it, please.
Oh, Diner Kids.
Yes.
Diner Kids is the new album. It's the first time I'm doing poems and songs on the same record.
Cool, good, awesome.
Yeah, I've never done that before. I try and do something different every single album.
Right.
I try and have something that wasn't ever on any of their albums, and this is like what I'm doing with this one. But in January, I did this thing called New Shit New Year, where I was like, I'm going to drop a track every single day for all 31 days of January. And I was like, this should be pretty easy. I think I could do it. I've got a bunch of poems, a bunch of songs I never put out. I have a bunch of beats. I could drop some instrumentals. That'd be cool. And then I realized I had to, like, if I wanted to drop it, I had to make an album cover for all of them. So I had to make 31 album covers. So I was like, oh, God, no. I was like, I forgot about this part. No, but it was cool. I did, like, I did one or two. I did one Facebook Live thing. I did an Instagram Live thing. Instead of like dropping a track, I did some SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and shit. And my best friend, Chill Smith, was the one who's recording most of that. And he was like, after we're done with one session, we were just sitting there bullshitting. He goes, you talk about like hanging out in diners a lot. I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, right.
But then he was like, yeah.
Were you guys sitting in a diner when he said that?
No, we were at I know, right? He was like, yeah, but in this poem and this song and this poem and this, and I'm like, oh, like a lot, And then he's like, and you say the word kids a lot, and this one, this one, this one. And I was like, you should probably like maybe try and compile all of it. Maybe you can make a thing out of it. It's like, oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And then I kind of like just it was a thought, and I went about my life. And then like 2 days later, he sends me an album cover that he made called Kids at the Diner, and he went to a diner, took a picture, did some lettering over it, and made like an album cover, and then made a track listing, a back cover of like poems and songs and stuff. And he's like, listen, here's my idea. I want to executive produce this album. And I was like,
wow.
Okay, well, all right, now it's not just a fleeting thought. Now we got to talk about this.
Yeah,
This is cool. And we just committed to it and did it, and it's coming out December 8th. It's pretty sweet.
Wow, that's pretty
And how do people
dope,
get it?
man.
So
That's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, man.
Wild, right?
Like, yeah, right.
And he executive produced it and engineered it, and this is actually him in the picture right here. And
But it's totally in house.
Close again. Can you hit me up with this right here?
DIY in house.
Yeah, so I collaborated with one singer.
Which guy?
Perfect.
Oh, sweet. I collaborated with one singer-songwriter, Josh Cabrera,
right,
who plays like 14 instruments or something like that. He's unbelievably talented, yeah.
God, people these days
I
can
know.
do everything,
No
dude.
fucking right.
Amazing,
He's so
dude.
amazing.
Motherfucker. I can barely do anything.
I had a couple songs. I had a couple songs in my head.
Damn it.
And he kind of like helped me get them out of my head, and then that went well. So he ended up the three of us did the whole album ourselves.
Is that the Americana?
And I'm sorry, how do people get it?
Okay, so it's gonna be streaming on all platforms, but I'm not doing CDs. What's gonna happen is I have cassette tapes that are USB.
What?
Yeah.
I love it.
It has a little switch and you open it up and it's got a USB port.
That's cool.
And it's gonna have the album on it.
If you
But
want,
it's-
do me a favor. If you want to do vinyl, let me hook you up with somebody. 'Cause
I
we have
actually
somebody
was
on the
gonna do
show.
vinyl.
Oh my God, we'll talk.
We're gonna talk.
We'll talk. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the clouds.
Yeah, have a conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm totally down for
All
that.
right.
That was because there was gonna also be a vinyl and it was gonna be the Diner Kids EP, which is gonna be
Okay, we'll definitely talk about it.
All
It's
right.
gonna be dope.
Sweet. But you're gonna basically get a Chris Rockwell USB with the copy of the album on it. It's gonna have a bunch of other content too, because I realized like if I decide to do something, I want to do something different. I sold the least amount of CDs last year, and I mean everybody's like dropping in CD sales. It's not.
Yeah, well, people don't buy it anymore. It's just not,
right.
it's not-
If someone buys my CD, they're really just being kind.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just being
you have to
supportive.
give. You
They're
have
just
to
being
literally.
supportive.
You got to literally give the
But,
shit away.
Here's
It's
the
not
thing. Here's the
digital
thing.
download.
It's free.
In order,
yeah,
in order
everything's
to
free now.
want a piece of physical media these days, it's got to be a work of art, and that's why vinyl's so hot right now.
Right, because it's nostalgic
Vinyl-
value of
ownership.
artwork.
It's a
Yeah,
ritual
but I'll tell you what. But I'll tell you what.
Yeah, yeah.
It's nostalgia made new again.
Same
Because
with laser
artwork-
discs, man. That's why I
Have you
have
seen
so
the new
many.
Is that
Chihuahua?
What are you talking about?
For a second, I was like,
I was like, God damn! Like, I was like, you have laser discs? I live
if
here.
you
I
would have
didn't know
just
that.
stopped at the same, it's the same as laser discs, I would have been like,
I've always
go on.
I want to know so bad if there's porn on laser discs. Like there had to have been, right?
Yeah, of course.
Like how could there not have been laser disc
You also needed like one of those window unit air
Giant-
conditioners to keep your
Like
laser
the
discs.
first time, like as soon as laser discs were invented, I feel like the first thing that happened after that was like, we gotta fucking put it on there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've just never seen a laser
All right,
disc
so
porn.
hold on a minute. So we have to cut to our break soon. When we come back, Chris Rockwell is going to perform, which is going to be fucking amazing. That's right. That's still going to happen, right?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm down.
So,
I'll do it.
where can people find you online right now? What should people be looking for?
Everything is at Mr. Chris Rockwell.
Mr. is
Mr. Chris Rockwell. And my website's mrchrisrockwell.com. Everything. Snapchat, Twitter,
Nice.
Instagram, everything.
Well, you are the man, dude. I'm so
I
fucking
appreciate
happy
you.
you were here tonight,
I'm
man.
pumped. This
And
is
I'll tell you
fun.
what, we're going to cut to our second break. When we come back, Mr. Chris Rockwell is going to perform. And what you should be doing right now, if you're watching, is sharing this
lucky.
and hitting
Share.
like
Yeah, all
and
of
hit
them
one of
the
the
same-
heart
the
buttons or
same
the
line?
laugh buttons or one of those
Oh, yes.
buttons and
No angry buttons.
all that other kind of shit. And we're going to cut to our second break, which I
Wait,
think is a
someone
clip
has
from
a
my sniff
question
face.
for
What's the
Chris.
question for Chris? Go ahead.
I have a question for Chris. What were your primary influences for Night of the Living Boombox? I love that track.
Oh,
Ooh.
cool. That's a cool
That
question.
was
Go
from
ahead.
Carl Callan.
All right. Callan's killing
I
it
got
tonight.
you, Carl.
Yeah,
I
man.
saw that.
Yes. Okay, so real quick, when we were working on Rockwell Rebel Radio, I had a whole bunch of beats that I made. The whole concept of it was sampling, like heavy sampling on the album. All right, so Andre Velasquez from the band Def Ray was listening to the beats. And a whole bunch of guys were like listening to all the beats, and he was like, "I like that one." So he came up with this idea of like, he came up with the idea of the Night of the Living Ghetto Blaster or something like that, you know, and he was like, I feel like it should be. He came up with the concept, and it was very Beastie Boys esque.
Cool.
So it was a pretty Beastie Boys influenced thing, and then we also sampled ZZ Top, which made it like,
That's awesome.
yeah, which made it rip a little bit, you know. So Andre Velasquez was the man behind that track, really, and then it was definitely a Beastie Boys influenced. So there you go, Carl.
There you go, Carl. Hi, nephew. Hi, Sarah. My Aunt Linda says hi. Kelsey says, Rob Marchi, great shirt. Let's see. Callie Huds Fopo. It's called a blood quantum car. Okay, yeah, gotcha. We already saw that part. All right, so anyway, so now we're going to cut to our second break. When we come back, we'll have a performance. Hit like and all that stuff on the video and all that whatnot. And when we come back, that's what's going to happen. So turn this up because Ice in the Face is going to come on for a little while. We got a timer in the corner. We're going to get reset up for our performance space and take pisses and what have you. And we'll be right the hell back.
Take pisses and what have you.
Let me know when we're out. Matt Lahosi.
Matt, what up, Matt?
And when happens.
Just bring down those.
You're listening to us. And the face.
So,
yep.
Is it normal to climb into a treehouse so you are secluded to hold in your poop?
I have to think that one through. That's
yeah,
a lot of
think
steps.
It through. Well, let me read you the
It's a lot of steps.
description, as the description is quite amazing.
Wait, okay, go on. But all right.
Typically, myself and a buddy would get a few apples, usually Honey Crisps. Now, already we've got an interesting start here.
Right.
I don't know why.
I love a Honey Crisp.
I love a good Honey
This is-
Crisp with my bro.
This is not my turd form
Can
in my
I
lower
ask you guys a
bowel.
question? Okay, as guys,
Yeah.
as guys,
Sure.
can you remember ever, like, with a fellow
buddy,
bro,
yeah, right.
like running through the apple orchard side by
Yeah.
side?
And like really tiny shorts.
And do you guys remember doing that ever in your youth?
You know, Stones and I, we
Stones,
often.
did you ever do that?
We used to sashay through this.
We live an hour and a half
Garden.
outside of New York City, so
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
So
on the
apple
coast.
So that has nothing to do
so
with
we've
anything.
imagined what the apple orchards might be like
Yeah.
for some, but I
Right.
don't know.
If we run through an apple orchard here and reach for apples, we end up with like sooty fingers, and we don't know why. Where's the soot coming from?
Scorpions and shit.
But no, I mean, I remember in my schoolboy days of yore when Stones and I would skip through the
Meadows.
apple orchard, tripping over at Jinko's, grabbing
Yeah, but
tight into
think
the
of, how
belt
many,
buckle.
think of how many bushels of apples your Jenkos can hold.
I never thought of that.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's what they invented them for.
That's a 10 bushel pant leg.
Yeah, right. That's why Johnny Appleseed wore such big pants. Here's the original.
Jinko's favored by shoplifters.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man, they're good for it.
Janko Johnny's.
Holy fuck, I get such an apple haul. Usually Honey Crisp, and go to this
Yeah,
abandoned.
shoplifters at grocery stores. They only steal apples.
If they know what's good for them.
They're like, wait,
There's
you
like
got
this
Jinko's
entire
on.
black
I'm
market
watching
pie,
you.
Yeah.
like pie facility set up down in like a dirty, like foggy London basement of
Yeah.
like some
Yeah,
factory
there's some
from the
dirty apple dealings
1800s.
going on. Give
And
you 3 Honey
like,
Crisps, see?
these like Cockney assholes with
Yeah.
Jenkos on,
Yeah.
dumping their apple pants all
Yeah.
over the floor. And then there's
Yeah.
like one little girl in the corner with like smudge all over her face, and
Yeah,
she's
right.
sitting there shining the apples.
Yeah, right.
Like with a dirty rag.
Yeah. And the rag keeps working. We don't know why. It's
Oh.
it's like a ShamWow.
It's the power of little girls.
Yeah. And one guy's sitting, he's bald
Oh,
with like
gross.
a big gold earring. And he's like, hey, Apple Pants, get over here. And Apple Pants, who's like the greatest apple thief.
Sounds like a terrible.
No, to man. He comes over.
Just
But
taking-
back then they didn't have all the fancy words we have now. So Apple Pants was tough.
Apple pants twist.
Yeah, he's old Apple Pants Twist McGraw. You know? He could chuck apples at your head and fucking bust a skull open.
Sounds like a lot like present day Asia without the Jinkos.
Present day Asia?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of apple.
Yeah, a lot of apple thieving going on.
Bullshit going on.
The apple politics over there are mind
Yeah,
blowing.
they're like, fuck the air and fuck the ground and
Yeah.
fuck the fucking plants and let's just fucking ship it all out.
Oh, that sounds American.
Oh, it does. It does.
Usually
It does.
Honeycrisp, and go to this abandoned lot which has a treehouse in it. We would climb into the treehouse, sit on our bottoms, and start to eat the apples, but then start to push out our poop. Right at the last second is when we'll
like
clench
together?
our sphincters to hold it. This is where it gets weird.
Wait, that didn't happen yet?
Get ready. It makes the hair on our arms and necks stand up, and it makes us buzz and shiver all over our bodies. We'll usually finish a couple of apples and then climb down out of the treehouse and go home. We call this act corking. So whenever we cork, it has to be in a secluded place. Secluded and dimly lit is even better.
Hold on. What was the first sentence again?
It makes the hair in our arms and neck.
The whole.
What?
The whole. Like, what was the?
Typically, myself and a buddy would get a few apples. Usually, Honey Chris, and go to this abandoned lot which has a treehouse in it.
No, that wasn't the first sentence. No, the first sentence. That was not.
It's
The first, why? What's the heading of this post? There was,
is it normal to climb up into a treehouse so you are secluded to hold in your poop? And I feel like the apples have been made like a central part of this.
They had to be. They needed
that should
something
have been
with
the heading.
fiber.
That should have been more.
Like it wasn't like they like
More-
apples and also they
Right.
like to not
Yeah.
shit themselves
Hungry
while
for
trying.
apples?
It's that the apples are making them shit. Like they might.
They make me shit.
They might as well be like frolicking through like a coffee and
Yeah, or like a X-Lax farm.
You might as well title it as "Hungry for Apples."
Hungry for apples?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
this guy,
just the idea, two people just hanging out together to push their poop out to the brink of being released and then sucking it back in.
Do you think they make eye contact?
Look, I don't think this is just about poop and sphincters here.
I wanted to
And
really
apples.
think about
Yeah,
his
because
question
at
when I
one
first
point
heard
one
it,
of the
but then
dudes is going to be like, "Hey,
we
you know,
moved
if
on.
this feels good, maybe it'd feel
And-
good if we just."
Do me a favor. Could you look at my pink dot for just a minute? And when the
Yeah, when
shit
the
begins
cork-
to breach,
when the cork-
when the
is it-
corking begins to
is it
happen,
When I uncork.
yeah, I want you to boomerang this to my Instagram. So that it breaches and unbreaches. It breaches and unbreaches. That way I can enjoy it forever and probably get goosebumps watching this for the rest of my life.
We'll hashtag honey crisping.
Yeah. Hashtag honey crisping with my bro. Hashtag corking.
Honey bro.
That way you can cork eternally. You know, because that boomerang will just go forever, and people won't even know. People will be surprised. They'll be like, "What the hell am I looking at?" So that way, no one will get in trouble. There won't be any Instagram flags.
Meanwhile, his fingernails are all long because he's just sitting in his bedroom staring at his fucking
Yeah.
shit.
He's
going in and out of his fucking
he's
asshole.
peeling apples with his one long finger.
Yeah,
He
it's
just
just
holds
all-
his finger straight and then turns the apple with the other hand
right.
and just shaves off in one long peel.
And when we witness it, we look at it and we're like, "This is more surprising because you didn't even mention the peeling in the
And he
post."
throws the apples over his shoulder and he's like, "It's really the peels that have all the fiber."
Yeah, and then he
he
starts
just
munching
chews.
down on the peels.
Dude, when I was really little, my grandmother would sit and peel apples a lot. I don't know why. And I would sit next to her to eat the peels. 'Cause they were my favorite part.
Like, Grandma, you can just, have half the work. I'll
Just,
eat the peels
just
and
leave,
the apples.
Just
or
munch the
just
peels
leave
here.
the peel on.
Yeah.
She's all like fucking dolphining it up in front of her.
Yeah.
Snatching peels out of the sky like
Yeah.
bats picking up moths. Just,
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
man.
Honey Crisp, though. I'm not sure Honey Crisp apples were invented yet.
Yeah, man, they came a long way. Yeah, so anyway, we'll finish a couple apples. That's how we'll usually finish a couple apples,
Right.
and then climb down out of the tree.
Right.
The apples, man, it's just like you know. It sounds to me like it's like when you're going to hang out at the spot with your bro, and you bring a 6-pack of beer. You know,
Then you start shaking your shit in and out of your asshole.
You may or may not.
I mean, that's the thing you do.
Some guys just swing some golf clubs
a couple months
or
ago,
they toss the ball around.
a couple months from now, one of them's gonna get jaded and just pretend that he's doing it. You know, the
Yeah,
other
right.
dude's
He's
like
gonna be like,
still
"Dude."
all into it. And he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
I
I'm doing
heard
it.
this
Yeah,
podcast. They
yeah,
talked about
getting
it.
I'm corking.
Yeah,
I'm corking.
totally,
it's happening."
I already corked.
And he's just like, "Oh man,
Corking
eat
accomplished.
another apple." And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah, I don't
I've had plenty."
Yeah, I'm kind of burned out on
It's been
apples.
a real treat.
Yeah.
They go on to other things.
Yeah, they eat bananas and shit.
No, like,
Oh,
you know, I don't know. What other things are there that they go to Taco Bell?
they corked there?
Yeah.
Then they cork in the.
Oh man, he was pretty emphatic about that treehouse. I think that might be. You know,
Oh, okay, so it has to be secluded.
Yeah,
it has to be
right.
a
Yeah,
treehouse.
it's gonna be secluded.
Or like a hotel bathroom at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
like
got
in
the,
the main
extra
lobby.
fear that someone could walk
Someone
in.
could
and
walk in. It makes it exciting.
They probably won't, but because we're in the safe hours.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if anything will ever beat the orchard and the hidden treehouse. It sounds like they
Yeah.
ended up in Narnia.
Yeah, right. And there's no better place to cork.
And they actually talked about that in the book.
Well, there was
Edmund
Yeah.
and
chalk flowers
Peter
on the walls.
corking.
Yeah, they were corking in that
Edmund
little
and
hobbit
Peter
house.
were corking.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And they were observing the hair standing up on their arms, which is quite long.
They went there at 12 o'clock every day just to hear the cuckoo of the cuckoo clock.
of the corking.
Of the cork clock.
They timed their poo corking to the clock fucking bird. Yeah.
And yay.
They had, I mean,
The
you got to
corking.
explore. I mean, you can't just. Can you just cork forever? I mean, would that be satisfying enough?
Eventually, you
Sooner or
gotta
later, your body's gonna make the rules, whether you like it or not.
Your body's gonna be like, look, this
guy
hole
writing
is,
the book on it?
Yeah. Because eventually you're loosening your hole, I imagine. You're not strengthening it.
He's like, I'm going to come up with an innocuous question to get people into this fetish.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
Do you
open the
like
floodgates
apples?
on it.
Yeah, right. It starts off, people thought they were just part of an apple picking club. And then they went up the treehouse. The guy's like, all right, now everybody squat.
enthusiasts.
Yeah, now push your shit out.
Oh,
And then
sort of.
suck it back in. But only after you
It's
barely
like
feel
the
it.
dudes that spit on other people and then suck it in. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, gross.
It's like that, but like they're just
There's still going to be
doing
a
it.
little bit of spittle on you.
Right. And your aunt and uncle are there at the corking party. And they're like, oh, you know,
We do this
And
every
they have
Sunday.
like a whole room full of people all doing it at once.
Yeah, and people like, you know, at first I thought
Dude,
this guy
it
was
would
crazy. But
smell
it makes the hair on
bad.
my arms stand up.
That like
Somebody-
Grandma, we're gonna have a corking party
And she's
tonight.
like, "Oh,
Is that okay?" And she makes like 80 apple pies, and there's like the whole Boy Scout troop over.
Yeah, right.
One of them's allergic to apples.
Yeah.
But he don't care.
Spray shit
He's,
all over
he's
the
like,
wall.
look, the only real reason I come here is because this bitch can cork so good. I never seen a woman this age cork so hard.
It's like,
the grandma's like, you want some apple pie? And oops, I slipped. Slipped out. Oh boy.
Honey crisping.
Son left his dad's corpse to rot for 3 weeks so he could pocket his wages.
The guy's already dead. I say this all the time.
I gotta say, I wish I'd thought of it.
wait, we're on to another one?
Yeah, we moved up. Moved up in the world. We're getting classy. Yeah, dad's corpse rotted for 3 weeks so he could pocket his way. I mean, you know, I think it's funny the company never wondered why the guy didn't come to work anymore after the first week.
Yeah.
You know? Man. Fuck. Drug addict left his postman's father dead body rot so he could still access wages from him. Jesus Christ.
Did he have to give him back?
I don't know.
This is a sad topic.
Yeah, this is a
You might
bummer.
have to move on. Last
Well,
one was.
Top notch.
Oh, yeah. That changed everything.
Oh, that was a notch above.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me pick a story. Police forced to stop interrogating suspect after he continuously farts replies.
What, like he's
Well,
guiding
he-
his ass
he was
cheeks
honey crisping.
like a mouth.
It's like, this is how we do it at home. The cops
This
like,
is
what
how
are you
we
doing?
do it in the orchard, bitch.
Yeah, this is how we do it. This is how we
In
do
a
it.
treehouse.
Was it abandoned treehouse?
Was it Morse code?
That's the other thing. They said he answered in farts. I mean,
I mean, there's
honestly,
Dude,
if the
maybe
guy's
he was
asshole-
actually saying something really important.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't communicate any other
Maybe
way.
they should have put their ears closer to his asshole to get the information.
Maybe
He's like
they
trying to
should've
tell him he's
wrote
kidnapped.
Down like, dashes and dots.
There's all kinds of coordinates
What
in there.
exactly would be the dash and what would be the dot?
Yeah,
Oh, I got some dances and dots.
Yeah, I got dashes and dots. He continuously replied their questions with farts.
Did you see the guy that got arrested and started dancing?
No.
It was fucked up.
I imagine they clubbed him to
There was
death.
a video of it.
Oh, okay.
They asked
Did they
her to,
hit
like,
him?
they
Usually
asked
they
her
hit
to,
him.
like, it's like 2 or 3 cops behind the guy, and the guy's facing away from the cops, and they ask him to put his hands up, and he like puts his hands up and starts shimmying, and like he won't stop dancing, like he just keeps dancing, and they finally sent the fucking police dog after him, and then they got him for,
away from the police
got him
dog.
for evading arrest, and it's like he wasn't evading,
Yeah,
he
he's
was,
just
like,
moonwalking.
he wasn't running, he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Running Man doesn't actually take you anywhere. You just stay in one spot. You know,
Yeah, you have to look
figuratively, that's
that
true,
video
too.
up and check
I will, I'll
this
check
guy
it
out.
Yeah.
They said that he was like obviously high, which is a whole
Yeah,
other
you know,
thing.
and I got to tell you something too. There's the obviously high. I don't buy it. You need to know for a fact. You can't just. I think cops think everyone's high.
Yeah, but like when
the
the
second
dude's-
you don't cower and crumple into the
If you-
floor.
when the dude's shimmering, you know, like he's
Shimmering.
not.
Yeah,
You know,
he's shimmering.
He's not
He's shimmering like
he seems like he's in a
it's
good mood. He's
Twilight.
like,
Like a
yeah, I'll get
unicorn.
arrested. Come on, guys, I'll get arrested.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
because he still hasn't gotten the point yet. That yes, not only are you gonna get arrested, but you're gonna lose limbs
Right.
and maybe your
Right.
life and your neck.
Right.
And
He's
your,
like, no, come on, guys, just work for it a little.
Yeah,
Just
right.
Honey Crisp with me.
Work for
Yeah.
it a little bit.
Let's just Honey Crisp together.
Yeah,
Like
the
we're
whole time
back
he's
at the
Honey
old
Crisping.
treehouse.
Yeah. Do you know how far out I can push this log before I can suck it all the way back in?
He like it goes like 6 feet.
Yeah, it's my best one. My best one was a 6-foot log, sucked it all the way back in. You got to do it on a clean surface, though. Otherwise, you might drag rocks and dirt and shit back in.
It
with
looked
you.
like a giant brown
Cat
snot.
litter.
Just looked like a shitty, lumpy cobra.
I ate a ton of gum that week.
Honey Crisp. Only Honey Crisp.
That's right.
Flavored gum.
Yeah, that's why it looks like a bunch of melted crayons.
It slides in better.
I can suck it back up with such persistence.
Persistence.
I can.
Persistence.
I call this tailing. It's sort of like where, corking began, then became honey crisping. Now I'm snaking.
If I was a wild animal, I'd be trophy hunted.
Yeah, right. And here we left off the gum shit of the stones, just dragging 6 foot. So I was like, now I gotta start all over again.
How do you
just
know
swallowing
Stones wasn't
bubblicious.
the part that got cut off?
they left the gum shit
Yeah.
because he said trophy. So, oh, that's a lot of fun. So what have you got next there? Huh?
So, a woman at a Waffle House found a dead frog in her glass of water.
A dead frog?
Yeah, and I just want to know, I just want
a series of events in that frog's life.
Well, here's the thing.
He's like, why am I
I
on a
don't know
tray?
why, but I imagined that the dead-eyed, soulless waitress, just dead staring out into nothing.
Yeah, just
pouring, and like the clunk of the frog as it hits the ice
A bunch of
cubes,
tadpoles falling.
and then she just places it on the tray,
Yeah.
like doesn't it, like
What
feeling
did we say? It
with.
takes her so long to get to her that she goes from the tadpole into a full-grown frog and then dies.
The frog's completely depressed.
The dog just takes one look. The frog
It's
just
floating
takes one
amongst
look
the
at her.
ice.
He's like, "Fuck,
Yeah,
done."
It's floating amongst the ice, just
Done.
waiting to be done. Just waiting for the lights to go out.
There's
And then
like
you
little
complain.
grease.
You complain, and she comes
bubbles.
back
Yeah.
and she goes, "Well, if it was glass, you wouldn't have been able to see it."
Yeah. Now shut up and eat your red velvet pancakes.
Ugh.
They're delicious. Don't mind that frog; it'll jump out on its own. Water's water.
A dead frog.
A dead
Like
frog.
where are they? Or are they like
How does
getting
that
their
happen?
water from out back?
Yeah, they're just
It's just like
ladling
a
it.
fucking
Yeah, they
puddle.
I know
ladle
what
it out
happened.
of the sewer
No,
drain.
I know what happened. She gave her the code word to the bartender, who also so happened to peddle acid,
Frogs?
mind-tripping frog water.
Yeah, but why the fuck would she tell anyone that?
Well,
Yeah, right.
she just came across the secret code
Yeah,
by
and-
accident,
yeah,
and
may-
then was served this mind-altering frog, and she's like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck? There's a frog in my
or,
drink."
Or the bartender
And-
was just he just deals in frogs. He's got a frog.
That's
deal.
He got a frog for every question.
Yeah. So every time she goes, why is there a frog here? Another one shows up.
Yes.
That sounds like a good, time.
It's like
at the
unlimited
IHOP.
French fries at Red Robin.
Yeah, people are like, what am I going to do with all these frogs?
Here's more
There's
frogs.
so many of them. Where are they? Are you getting all these? Like, where are these coming from?
And you give all the frogs Honey Crisp.
They're pissing on everything.
Pissing?
Well, I used to catch frogs
They're
when I was a
corking,
kid.
Rick. They're corking.
Yeah, they would cork too.
All the frogs are corking.
Yeah.
Frogs definitely have gummy shit.
Yeah, frog shit is that's
It's
something you
amazing
want
what
to
they
mess
sort
with.
of
They all
fly into.
choreograph too, so they're
Yeah,
all in unison.
They shit together, so their shit actually curves and bends, and it becomes
That's
a
a
sort
lot
of
of flies,
fun.
man.
It's like the women in the 50s
It's a
dancing
lot
in the
of fucking
swimming
bugs and
pools.
shit, and just fucking.
It's basically a Disney animation.
Yeah, basically.
What, frog shitting?
Choreographed frog shitting.
Like
Yeah.
in unison?
Yeah.
In a
Word.
Together. So they're developing like a
In
own frog
a
shit font.
glass of water at a Waffle House.
Yeah.
Doing
Oh, I
pyramids.
forgot you said it was a Waffle House, not a fucking IHOP, but I guess what's the difference anymore? You know what I mean?
Levels of stickiness.
I mean, how do you even react? Like, would you get mad if you picked up your glass
Yeah,
and you're like,
I get
excuse
fucking
me,
mad.
there's a
I'm
frog
pretty
in
sure
here.
it's an indicator of what's going on in the back.
Yeah, because that frog didn't start in the glass.
Let's get back to the bar.
A little bit more emotion.
Let's get back to the bar. Now back to the bar. Let's get back to the bar. And now for more of this.
Are we live? We are now. Okay, let me just get on this microphone for 1 second here. Hold on a minute. So we're live here right now? We are live. Can you hear me? Don't touch those two things where I had them. Okay. Hit record. I want you to start recording right now. Perfect. That's beautiful. I love it. Now you can hear me, right? Can people in the chat hear me? I want to make fucking sure this goes right. All right. Are we good? We're good? Because I'll tell you what, everybody. Right now what's going to happen is Chris Rockwell is going to come out here and perform for us, man. He's going to do spoken word, and he's going to do a song tonight. I just want to make sure that beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is going perfectly right now. So I want to... We're good. We're good. All right, that's dope. Okay. So, Chris Rockwell, what are we going to do first? I don't know. Should we do a poem first or a song first? Let's do the poem first. Right. We're going to do the poem first. Hold on. Whenever you're ready.
All right, so this is called Explode the Moment. You told me the trick is to picture the apple and explode it. As if to shoot it with a .44 caliber bullet and photograph it with a high-speed 70mm camera at 400 frames per second to study it. You said that's how you write. But I don't know how to explode this moment, or even if I want to. Intact, we are sitting in a diner, your spoon caressing your mug like skates on a frozen pond. Your hair sweeps in front of your face like an old willow tree. Your lips are spray painted on. I'm trying to reverse engineer the way that you look at me. I'm trying to figure out the inner workings of your glance by taking it apart. If I explode this moment, it dies prematurely. But if I don't, our waitress Debbie is going to keep pouring out the coffee from the fountain of youth while my wit is exhausted and the neon sign outside keeps aging This is the first time I wrote a poem for a poet I knew was better than me. The first time I let my tongue soak in its own blood between my teeth just to hear you sing like a house sparrow about your job and your son and your faith in the passion people die for. Nothing is stable. Everything is flammable. Your smile is an aching detonator. When you asked me to go outside with you for a smoke, I could have sworn you reached into your pack of cigarettes and pulled out a stick of dynamite. But I went anyway. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
Now we're gonna
that's
do a
it
song.
right there. Yeah, we're gonna do this song. I have a music video out for this on the YouTubes. It's on the YouTubes. It's called Catch a Vibe.
Okay. You ready?
Oh yeah. Gotta get in it right here. The music video was shot at the Brick Diner. Shout out to the Brick Diner. I got a crush on your girl, but I won't tell her if you won't. I got a crush on myself, I'm feeling myself even if you don't. Whoa, I've been out here trying to get by. I've been out here trying to catch a vibe. I got a crush on the whole world and I don't care who knows. Whoa, this ain't my cash or your cash, it's tour cash. We can make it rain, whatever the forecast. When I had short cash, I booked a tour fast. Cause I don't want to end up working for DoorDash. I was rocking Jordache back in the 90s, but now that's behind me, so please don't remind me. Been in the studio for days feeling grimy, so if you need me, you know where to come and find me. There or the diner, it's my source of power. Friday and Saturday, 24 hours, writing poems on the back of the placemats. And for everybody else's sake, I switched it to decaf. Yeah, I'm on my best behavior, but when I get home, I still wake up my neighbors. Been having dreams of standing on the top of skyscrapers, but when I wake up, I still chase the paper. Yeah, I got a crush on your girl, but I won't tell her if you won't. I got a crush on myself, I'm feeling myself even if you don't. Whoa, I've been out here trying to get by. I've been out here trying to catch a vibe. I got a crush on the whole world and I don't care who knows. Whoa, whoa. This one's for the diner kids. Whoa, whoa. For the diner kids. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm just trying to catch a vibe right here for a minute. For the diner kids. Whoa, 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 whoa. Thank you. There that is.
Chris Rockwell, dude, thank you so much for being here tonight, man. It's been a great show tonight. I want to thank you again, Chris Rock. Everybody here for Chris Rockwell tonight, man. That was fucking great, man. Great show tonight. Awesome Talk Season 12, Episode 3 on November 12th, 2019. Thank you, everybody who watched. Thanks to our amazing sponsor, Nevermore-Designs.com. And thank you all very much for drinking with us, man. It's been a great night, dude. Thank you. Matt Lahosi, non-fundamentalist juggler. Let us know we're out.